Up until now, I've survived such things as cold, hunger, weather, and pollution, and even a little bit of radiation from a reactor meltdown. Now, at the end of the space age, I find myself safe and sound behind my barbed wire, and in desperate need of a fusion reactor as I do battle with my most reviled enemy, the electric grid. This mod pack takes you through 4 ages of history: the Industrial Revolution, the Nuclear Age, the Space Age, and the Interstellar Age. Each of these is based loosely off of assumed historical progression or theoretical sci-fi progression. Each presents its own unique opportunities and challenges building off of what came before. After building a nuclear craft fusion reactor, I'll complete the Space Age and progress in glorious fashion to the final age of the mod pack, the Interstellar Age. If all goes well, by the end of this video, that reactor will be mine. So we had a little bit of a debacle at the end of the last video with the black hole fusion reactor. So last video I actually did build a fusion reactor, but it was from a different mod and it used black holes, and the short of it is it was broken. So I deleted the mod and the reactor, and I switched the nuclear craft fusion reactor to the end of the space age, which is what I'm in the middle of trying to build. I had just gotten a celestial crystal, which I assumed I would have to make maxed out, like maxed cutting and purity and its other attributes, but apparently not. It looks like I can make the tier 3 crafting table, which I think is 7 by 7. I can make that right now. That's cool. I guess I won't complain. Anyways, I needed the elite crafting table so that I could actually make the fusion core for the nuclear craft fusion reactor. So now that I actually have the ability to craft it, we're a lot better off. Another thing I said I was going to do at the end of the last video was automate Thanksgiving dinner so that I don't actually have to craft food ever again and take a bunch of time doing that. I'm actually going to start with that so that it can be accumulating stuff in the background while I'm working on other projects. I built these 2 excavators in the last video, mainly so that I can mine osmium and whatever those things are, the astral sorcery aquamarine things. Uh-oh, creeper. Good to see that they're still working minus the creeper explosions. So the first thing I need for Thanksgiving dinner is I need turkey. And I don't want to make tofurkey because I am not interested in soy. I'm going to try to avoid that. Which means I'm going to have to make ground traps if I want to collect turkey. Raw turkey. Real turkey, not soy turkey. Lucky for me, raw turkey needs grain bait and ground traps, and I just happen to have grain bait automated from the last video because I had cotton seeds that I didn't need. I was growing cotton for string, and the cotton seeds I just turned into grain bait. So we're going to send those to some ground traps. This is totally unrelated to turkey or anything like that, but I'm really glad I have a lot of plastic already stored up because I changed the recipe for plastic and my existing plastic automation no longer works because I don't have a chemical plant. Well, this is what it takes to make ground traps. It's pretty simple. Just some string, some sticks, some wood, stuff like that. I'm gonna go ahead and make 16 of them, I think. I don't know if I actually am making grain bait quickly enough to support 16, but it's usually better to have more and not need it than too few. I was hoping to put them out here, and the big issue is I don't know if they're gonna work in coarse dirt or if they only work in grass. They kind of have to be near at least grass, I assumed, but we're gonna leave them here, put some bait in them, and see if they do anything. In the meantime, I'm gonna make some conveyor belts because I still feel like using conveyors here. Conduits, item conduits are a little bit expensive to use in large quantities still, but that'll probably change later. Another thing I'm going to make out there are a ton of silos that I can use to store the products of the traps, because a lot of stuff comes from the grain bait, not just raw turkey. And I need somewhere to put it. And I could just put it in storage drawers, but that would look kind of lame. So I think I'm going to actually put it into big item silos. You know, if I want to actually test these ground traps, it might be helpful if I put bait in them. That might have been a good idea to do sooner. Oh well. At least I did it now. How did you get in here? I have a big wall, a very tremendous wall, and for some reason you made it inside. You know what, it might have actually come from my roof, the roof of my factory, because that's kind of dark up there. Might need to do something about that. So I'm not actually going to save every single output from these ground traps. I don't really need to save stuff like eggs. So I don't need like 9 silos, 8 or 9 silos. I only need about 6 or something like that. I'm going to put them on these concrete pads. I don't really need to put concrete there, but it looks cool, so we're going to put it there. And on top of that, I'll build these item silos. You know, this is a little bit slow. I think there's a faster way I could do this. Oh, you're not supposed to be in there. I don't actually know why you're in there. I was messing with some stuff and I'm undoing it, but there's a skeleton in there. It's kind of weird. Well, there's not a skeleton in there anymore. Right, so I don't really want to build all these by hand, but I did add something called capsules, like structure capsules. And what these do is you can craft the capsule, and as long as you have the materials in your inventory, you can deploy the capsule and stick down the entire structure at once, just like that. So with one click, I built the whole thing instead of clicking, I don't know, like 40 something times. That's pretty cool. I'm glad I added that. I think my only complaint is that one capsule seems to be tied to one specific structure. Like, I can't use this same capsule. At least I don't know how to use the same capsule to place multiple versions of the same structure. It seems to be tied to this region. Maybe somebody who knows more about this mod can tell me if there's a way to unlink it and use it multiple times. Since I don't really want to go make a ton of additional capsules, I ended up just building the rest of them by hand. It wasn't the biggest deal in the world. It was fine. And boom, now we've got 6 item silos for the 6 major things that I want to save from these ground traps. Speaking of which, the ground traps do work. So I know now that I can put them in this coarse dirt and it will work just fine. I don't have to import grass or anything like that. I mean, that's kind of the whole point of why I put coarse dirt here, because I didn't want grass. So at the very end of these silos, we're going to stick some netherrack and we're going to light that on fire. And as you can imagine, that will destroy unwanted items before they pile up on the ground and lag my game. Very nice, very nice. So I've moved the ground traps to where I think I'm going to want them. We've got a row of 4 here and I have 16 total, so I was probably going to put down like 4 rows of 4 each. Gonna need some item routers though, so I can send the items where they need to go with the conveyor belts. Good thing are these are they're not particularly hard to make, although apparently speaking is hard. See, look, they're coming from the roof. That's the problem. Oh my god, that was embarrassing. Good grief. So if we put an item router on top of this ground trap, we can look into its GUI and you can see that there's a lot of different places we can send the stuff. So we're going to take the grain bait to go out to the bottom because it's on top of a ground trap. So we can see it stuck it in the ground trap. And we're also going to need grain bait to go out the red side and whatever that other side is. I forget what color that is. It has to go out 2 additional sides plus out the bottom. And we're going to send it to another item router, which is going to send the bait out of the bottom. And apparently out of the west side, and then also might be the north side, I'm not sure. And so we're going to send it down these conveyor belts. They're covered with scaffolding so that I can't pick up the items accidentally, and neither can mobs. It's kind of nice. They also, you can't like get stuck on the belts. And there's dropping conveyor belts here, so it will just automatically insert the grain bait into the ground traps underneath it. You can see like that, it splits it more or less evenly. Maybe less actually, I'm not quite sure. But it mostly gets the job done. So we're going to put these item routers on top of each of these silos, and like you saw before, we're going to send the correct item out of the bottom of the router, and that's going to put it into the silo, and the rest of it will just keep going down the conveyor belt until it finds its home. Now that we've got that, I need to find a way to extract everything from the ground traps automatically. Sooner rather than later, because it's already starting to pile up, and we don't want that. I haven't actually mentioned specifically what you get from these ground traps, but in addition to the turkey, you get raw duck, you get raw chicken, and raw beef. And then I'm also saving the leather and the bones, which I think is a pretty good deal. I'm pretty happy with that. So I'm going to go craft some Ender.io item conduits, which are crafted from item ducts and then conduit binder. Item ducts are not difficult to craft, but the conduit binder is a little bit difficult because I decided to make it take crystal binder, and if you've played Nuclear Craft, then you'll know that's not very fun. Well, I have a little bit of conduit, so we're going to use this underneath the ground traps because it's just so much better for this kind of stuff below ground, and it's so good for taking stuff in and out of inventories. So we're going to connect this up here. We're going to make it extract. Of course, we don't want it to be redstone controlled. I hate that the conduits default to redstone control. You have to go and undo that every time. I wish it didn't do that. Now we're going to take some vertical conveyor belts, and we're going to use this to bring everything up to the top of the silos. Here's some crystal binder, so I can actually make more conduit binder. I'm going to grab some bitumen from my gigantic bitumen chest at the back of my oil refinery. Anyways, here's a bunch of conduit binder composite. That's kind of hard to say. Conduit binder composite. I have to find a way to cook this somehow. I don't think I can use the redstone furnace. It's got an augmentation in it. It's fine, this thing works. kind of slowly, but it works. Okay, what the heck is happening to my vertical conveyors? We're having some problems. There we go. Now it's working. We like that. So now I'm going to take these covered conveyor belts and we're going to run them from the inside of my factory out to the line of conveyor belts that drops everything into the ground traps. Now that thing has thousands of, thousands of grain bait in it. So I don't want to have that dump out all at once and then just get wasted. So I'm not actually going to connect it to that, storage drawer right this second. But I will connect it to the output. So these conduits here are going to go to a chest so that I can then take the items out of a chest with conveyor belts. I don't really know if I can connect conduits straight to conveyor belts. I suppose I should probably try that sometime, but for now we're just going to use a chest. It's easier. And you can see that we're extracting the stuff out of the chest. It's going towards the conveyor belts and up the conveyor belt ladder, and it's going down the line. That's perfect. I think that's chicken in the front. Chicken's making its way over to the forest silo. You love to see it. Oh, that's so satisfying. This is why we use conveyor belts. They're a little bit impractical, but they do look cool when they're working. So now, like I said, I'm not extracting stuff from this basic drawer because I don't really want to waste all of it. But additional grain bait that comes out of the automation will make its way down the conveyor belt. And if some of it gets wasted, that's not the end of the world. If I ever need more grain bait, or if I ever start producing more grain bait, I'll connect additional ground traps. If you saw the last video, you'll remember this quartz mining excavator that I set up inside my factory because I found a quartz vein, meaning it provided nether quartz, which is what I mainly wanted. It also provided Cerdis quartz, which I don't need. And so in between this video and that video, I did some stuff to the excavator veins, and that vein no longer exists. So you can see if I power this excavator on, we're no longer going to get quartz because the vein doesn't exist anymore. So that kind of needs to go away. You know what also needs to go away? Some of the inside of this factory. I just don't really like the way parts of it, this stuff over here, looks. I think I've complained about this before, and I finally want to do something about it. I've tried to find some different building styles before, but I really just don't like what I have. I think it was a bad decision. I think I should have stuck with some things like the good old steel blocks. My trademark of immersive engineering building. Build everything with steel blocks. And since that's expensive, I have a painting machine which can paint cobblestone with the steel block texture, so I don't actually need steel blocks. So if I add some hoppers and some chests, I can go grab a bunch of cobblestone from my cobblestone automation, and we can stick it into the painting machine to be very slowly painted into steel blocks. Like, look, it's still going to be cobble, but it's going to look like steel. I don't know why I picked this color combination, this pattern combination, but I really need it to go away. I'm not a fan of this brown color with that orange color, and I don't like the texture of those supports. It's a little bit busy. So we're going to start with this wall here. I'm going to try to find something slightly less atrocious looking. I'm not quite sure what though. And it might be expensive. Knowing me, it probably would be expensive. Oh yeah, and I forgot. I've got this awful leaded concrete down here. I don't know why I put leaded concrete. It looks garbage. Plus I'm probably getting lead poisoning. Although that's the least of my problems. I'm getting irradiated constantly. And there's pollution everywhere. Well, what if we put steel blocks down there? No, I'm not a fan. That should not go down there. What if we swapped out these support blocks with steel blocks? That's probably more likely what's going to happen. That's usually the role in which I use steel blocks when it comes to building. And what if we used concrete bricks? You know how I said I might choose something expensive? Well, just the fact that I'm experimenting with concrete bricks is probably a bad idea because those things are difficult to make. What if we built some kind of cross pattern like this, or some X pattern? Maybe that would look okay, and we could fill it in with concrete bricks around the gaps here. I don't know, what do we think? It's not great, mainly because it creates that weird, like, light gray button thing in the center. Okay, fine. What if I made this brown X pattern? No, I already want it to go away. I don't even need to build the whole thing. That's not gonna look good. I don't think we need to do the X pattern. Okay, how about this? What about this kind of pattern? You know, this would be easy, but this is an interior wall. Normally I have several designs already memorized that look good, that involve multiple layers of blocks, but since I can't do that, I'm kind of struggling here to come up with some new design. That's a little bit better, but now it just looks like I have a letter I, which I'm not really trying to do. What do we think? Oh geez. You know, I think part of the problem might just be that block period. I think that is not helping. Not helping anything. I just made it worse, didn't I? Okay, what if we did the whole, like, nice little indented brick pattern? I'm not actually sure what we would call that, but I've used that before, and I do like that. That's a little bit better. I actually like it with the steel blocks. I don't like those brown blocks, though. We're gonna get rid of those. You know, that's the closest thing to something I've liked. But what about the floor here? Because we're not just dealing with the walls. We're also trying to deal with the floor. Trying to find some substitute for that god-awful leaded concrete. I don't think steel scaffolding is the way to go. I don't know. We'll look at it for a little bit. Okay, we're getting somewhere. That's like polished concrete or whatever. That's one of the types of normal concrete. Ow. I'm gonna try not to die in my high voltage lines today. We can probably do that later. Okay, that's actually getting somewhere with the wall. That's getting close to what I like. But what about the floor? I tried nether brick. I don't think that's gonna work. But what about red sandy stone? Yes, we're gonna try red sandy stone. I think that's what it's called. It's a funny name. Unfortunately, that kind of requires bricks, and concrete bricks, which I suppose I've decided on, also require bricks. See what I mean about being expensive? And bricks are so darn annoying to make for some reason. It's a big pain getting clay. I've gotten it from an excavator in the past. That's how I've gotten it. There might be other ways I can get it. I can get red sand from a thermal machine. I don't even know what it's called. I can try to do that, I suppose, but let me see if it even looks good. This is what the red sandy block looks like. Unfortunately, it looks good. I say unfortunately because I don't have a way of mass producing bricks or red sand at the moment. But I think we might have a winner. And just like that, I'm out of food. Aren't I always? This is kind of the whole point of me trying to make a Thanksgiving dinner automation. So I don't have to come to my kitchen every 5 minutes and make blueberry jelly sandwiches. Not that I have any problem with blueberry jelly sandwiches. I just have a problem with it taking a bunch of time. Another thing that takes a lot of my time is dealing with the stupid parasite pit, which continuously fills up with parasites all the time. I don't think there's anything special about this pit. I think the issue is just that it's dark down here, and so during the daytime lots of mobs try to spawn down here, and then parasites spawn and they fight each other and then back and spawn. It's a whole deal. I'll get to that later though. I actually do something kind of cool with that. You might want to stick around and see. Well, if I'm going to make red sandy blocks, I'm going to need red sand, so I'm going to make an igneous extruder, which is what the thermal machine is called. And then we can stick a little upgrade in it, and we'll be able to make red sand from literally just a water input. It's kind of weird. I'll explain it when we get there. Of all the thermal machines to make, this one is not particularly difficult, minus the machine frame, so I'm just going to be thankful for that. There's still the little issue of this circuit board, though. So that's the igneous extruder. I need some erythium dust though, if I need to make the augmentation that allows me to make sand. And I don't actually have any erythium dust, which is made from blitz powder. That's not good. I think I have all of the elemental blaze powders except for blitz powder. That means I'm going hunting. And where am I hunting? I'm hunting in the desert, because blitzes spawn in deserts. We need to locate a blitz in hopefully one of these nearby deserts. The issue is they're kind of rare. I mean, all the elemental blazes are rare, but hopefully I can find one. I don't really need a lot. I just need one. There's a distinct lack of blitzes here. It's rather disturbing, I must admit. There's that old military base that I blew up a long time ago. Oh, I guess I missed it. Look at, there we go. That's a blitz. Hey, a blitz rod. Perfect. I only needed one, really, because I can get plenty of blitz powder from it. Might as well explore a little bit more while I'm out, though. I'm already kind of far from my base. Oh, look at this. It's a Tech Guns Bandit outpost. I always like some loot. Tech Guns structures have good loot. I appreciate it. Once you can get rid of all the NPCs with their guns, you can grab some nice stuff. Got some assault rifle ammo. And you always end up with a ton of armor. And the nice thing about the armor is you can actually usually recycle the armor in the arc furnace and then get some materials from it if you hang on to it. Plus, it's always a good idea to have extra armor. So I'm actually quite far away now, and one thing I want to check while I'm gone is my new ore generation. It's well, it's a feature in the new update, the update that will have come out in like relation with this video. By the time you see this video, the update will be out. But let's just say I've completely overhauled the way that ore spawns in the mod pack. It no longer spawns in normal Minecraft ways, like you see little clumps of ore everywhere. Now it spawns in big veins corresponding to the excavator mineral deposits, and it's biome dependent. In other words, you can't find it in every biome, and apparently I can't find any of it here, because these are not unloaded chunks. Now I am in new unloaded chunks, previously unloaded. So I should be able to find some examples of my ore deposits. So yeah, like right now I'm in an ocean, and so only certain types of mineral veins will spawn in this ocean. I'm going to add all that information to the quest book because there's information on all the ore in the quest book. So I'll explain where stuff spawns so that you're not left like completely oblivious to where it is. You can kind of know where to go. Only a very small number of veins will spawn everywhere in every biome, redstone being one of them. And you can see this redstone vein actually included destabilized redstone and rubies. Well, I kind of did more than I needed to. I really left just to get the blitz rod, and I ended up exploring and looting some stuff, which usually happens just because I get distracted. So we're gonna go home now. I'm gonna fly my plane back. I think it's somewhat illegal that I haven't made a runway yet. We've been on this world for almost like over 800 days and no runway. Okay, so I have blitz powder now. We're gonna make erothium dust, and we're gonna make this augmentation for the igneous extruder, which will allow me to make red sand, as I mentioned. You know, I need to check and see if the extruder allows you to make clay. If it doesn't, I don't know, I would be kind of mad. But that might be a way to get clay if I don't want to get it from an excavator. So I already have one extruder over here, and it was making obsidian, which actually required a continuous lava input. But this new extruder requires you to put lava in the machine, but it doesn't actually use the lava. It only uses the water input. And obviously water is easy to get, so that might as well be free red sand. I hate Invasion Knights so much. Alright, these are actually the first basic energy conduits I've made. I'm kind of surprised, but I kind of need to put energy and item transfer in the same block here, which is why I decided to make energy conduits. Eventually I'll transfer completely to energy conduits. That's just going to take a while though, and it is not high on my list of things to do. Anyways, we have water in here, we have energy in here, and I have it connected to the item output, which will take it over to the storage drawer wall. Now if we add some lava to it, and we actually get the side connection right, we should be making red sand, and we'll see that the lava doesn't actually go anywhere, it just sits there, and it only uses water. It might as well be free, as I said. So we can put in a basic storage drawer over here, and now it's going to fill up with red sand, just like the obsidian and other stuff there. That's pretty cool. I'm a big fan. The invasion might have ended, but that doesn't mean the llamas left my base. The next time there's an invasion, that guy will turn into some kind of like bloodthirsty evil llama or whatever, so we gotta get rid of it now. You know, the turret might have already gotten rid of it if it had ammo, in it. I don't know why that's hard to say. But nevertheless, it needs ammo. Anyways, we're gonna call the red sandy blocks automated, okay? The red sand is the hard part. We're gonna focus on concrete now. And concrete is not automated, and it's a little bit difficult to automate. So we need a mixer multi-block, and I need a place to put the mixer multi-block. So I'm actually gonna put it on the second floor of my factory. We're literally right now, we are creating a second floor. I am designating this the second floor because I don't have any room on the first floor anymore. There's nowhere else to put stuff. So we have a mixer, and the only way to make concrete is you make liquid concrete in a mixer. You get some water, you get some gravel, sand, and clay, throw it in the mixer, you got yourself some concrete. It's pretty cool. So I'm gonna take all this clay that I just dumped on the ground, and we're gonna turn it into clay balls. We're gonna cart it up to the second floor in a storage drawer. And now, I'm also gonna grab my old gravel and sand drawers, which came from it's a very old silt excavator, which is no longer functional. But I have to figure out how to get 3 items into here with 2 item inputs. Anyways, once I run some power over here using my god-awful power line setup, which I kill myself on all the time, we should finally be getting a little bit of liquid concrete, but that's just step 1. Boom. Power is on. Oh yeah, now we're making ourselves liquid concrete. So the good thing is the concrete bricks actually use liquid concrete. You put bricks in a chemical bath and you dunk them in liquid concrete, and you get the concrete bricks. So some of the liquid concrete needs to stay as a liquid. And right now, I'm going to make the chemical bath so that I can start with the liquid concrete, because that's the most important part. Why is there a beacon there in my base? Bro, this is insane. I get it. You want to stay in the parasite pit? That's fine. I'll leave you there for a while. But if you're going to spawn in my house, then I'm going to introduce you to high velocity steel. At least it gave me my blocks back. That's kind of nice of it. I appreciate that. More than creepers do. Okay, so this is a chemical bath. That right there. So I need to get liquid concrete in there, which I now actually need to figure out where the input is. Oh, that's not... Oh, okay, that's an item input, not a fluid input. Great. Okay, I redid it. Let's change the settings, and now we are dumping liquid concrete into the chemical bath. Nice. We can see here it's filling up. Now it needs power. Obviously, everything needs power, and it needs bricks. Oh, what the heck just happened? That was weird. I like stepped in it, and then it broke, and then it created weird, nasty concrete and broke my machine. Well, I guess I won't go swimming in the chemical bath. Maybe that's the problem. Why is there water in here now? Okay, so I have like one brick block or whatever. I have a couple brick blocks, and you can see that's what it does. It takes it, it dunks it, and you get concrete bricks. It takes 500 concrete, 500 millibuckets of liquid concrete. For reference, you would need 4,000 millibuckets of liquid concrete to create a stack of normal concrete. So in other words, it's a lot less efficient to make concrete bricks than it is just to make solid concrete. Although, whose fault is that? Probably the fault of my recipes. Anyways, I noticed that clay blocks can actually be turned using a metal press into clay balls, which is nice because I didn't have a way to turn clay blocks automatically into clay balls for brick automation before. But if I use a metal press, which is not a very difficult machine to make, it's pretty easy to make them, they're pretty inexpensive. If I use a unpacking mold and then a packing mold, I can take the clay blocks, turn it into clay balls, smelt the balls into bricks, and then reform the bricks into brick blocks, all using metal presses without any auto crafters, which is always a nice thing because auto crafters are expensive. The issue is I have to drop 4 bricks at a time for the packing metal press, which will pack them into brick blocks. Luckily, there's a thing called a factory dropper, which allows you a lot of control over how you drop items. Like, you can make it shoot super far away or not. You can control how many get dropped at a time, so I can force it to drop 4 bricks at once, which is exactly what I need. So I've got metal press 1, and metal press 1 is going to take bricks and turn it into brick blocks and send that into the bath. So here I've added the second metal press and the small electric furnace, and it's supposed to just take the clay right off of the press line and put it in the furnace, but I don't think it's gonna do that. Plus, I didn't leave room for the dropper there. I'm not sure what I was thinking. That was kind of stupid. Okay, here I moved it around. It's a little bit different now. Now we have sufficient room, so all these things are powered. So in theory now, it should be continuous, although... Why is my furnace not working? What the heck? Okay, now I think it's working. Yep, okay, I put the thing in there. And the issue is the dropper needs redstone power. It doesn't actually use electricity, it uses redstone, which is kind of archaic in this mod pack. I always forget that redstone is a thing. Somehow I have to squeeze in a basic, like, comparator clock here to try to get it to drop. At least I think that's what's gonna work. The redstone is floating, but it kind of works, I guess. The issue is it doesn't actually shut off when there's no items in there, which is how it's normally supposed to work. I guess it doesn't really matter. It's still only gonna drop it when there's 4. So now we see that the clay is going in here. It's getting smushed into balls, and then we're gonna smelt it, and then it turns into bricks, so that everything is actually working tremendously now. That is until the electric furnace gets filled up, which I can solve with more redstone. If I take a comparator, and I measure the fullness of the furnace, I can use that redstone signal to shut off the metal press that creates the clay balls, so that it doesn't waste clay, which we don't want to do, obviously. Now I think we're working, and I think we won't waste anything. Now that concrete bricks are automated, albeit very slowly, I need to automate normal concrete, which is actually a lot easier. So normal concrete, right now, I just have a crafting recipe that makes it from concrete buckets of liquid concrete. So first I need a bottling machine to fill up buckets with liquid concrete. The bottling machine is a pretty small, pretty simple Versa Engineering multi-block, and all it has is a conveyor belt and a little spout. So you stick buckets on the conveyor belt and they get filled up. Unfortunately, I actually have to make a sequential fabricator auto crafting machine to actually turn the buckets into the concrete. That's a little bit unfortunate because those machines are not fun to make. Every time I complain about a recipe though, I literally have no one to blame but myself because I'm the one that made this mod pack, so... Fun. Small, compact electric engines. At least I can make some more of them. That's the only thing that makes it less awful, is trying to make multiple of them at once. Why did I think it was a good idea to use precision tools in this recipe again? It even forces me to make basic electronic components in the precision assembler, everyone's favorite machine. So if I stick the sequential fabricator off the end of this conveyor belt, it should put the buckets into there. Should being the operative word, we're gonna find out here in a second. Now that we have power, let me stick a bucket right here, and we can see that it's gonna go there. It's gonna get filled up with concrete. And it's gonna get yeeted off the belt and not go into the fabricator. You gotta be kidding me. That just means I have to add an extra block of normal conveyor belt between here and the fabricator. That's a Where did my brick go? What the heck? Bro, my bricks are disappearing. I don't appreciate the disappearing bricks. Okay, crisis over. We got the sequential fabricator down. Good grief. So if I stick a conduit off of here, I can use the little filter device to tell it to only extract empty buckets, which will make it so that it doesn't take everything out of there, which I obviously don't want. Okay, is it gonna work now? Never active, always active, extract empty buckets. We would like it to take empty buckets out. That would be very cool. Let me see if this works now. I think that worked, and it looks like it took out my buckets. Perfect. And there it goes. It sent the empty buckets right back to the start of the assembly line. Actually, no, it didn't. What it did was it took out the full buckets because I didn't have the filter in the right spot. I'm just dumb. What it did now is it actually worked. Apparently there's two filter slots. One filter slot is for the extract and one is for the insert, and I think I had it in the insert slot. But now it filtered correctly and it didn't steal my full buckets. Anyways, while I've been doing that, I've accumulated a bunch of red sand from that igneous extruder that we made. And a bunch of clay that I stuck in my semi-automatic smelting system has turned into bricks. So I can use that to make a small quantity of red sandy brick blocks. I'm going to use these blocks to replace the existing garbage that I had. Bye-bye, leaded concrete. You will not be missed. That's already so much better. I don't know why I didn't do this sooner. I even got these red sandy bricks, which is like the small bricks, and it's going to be in the middle of the path. It's going to be so cool. You'll love to see it. I am a big fan. Oh yeah. Now to get rid of this chiseled stone, which I don't mind, but I'm actually going to use it as a ceiling in some of the places. I don't want it as the floor as well. Looking good. Weird stuff has been happening down here, I think. Keep hearing noises. I keep hearing the sound that beacons make when they increase in size. Uh-oh. Yeah, there we go. I knew there was something over here. Yeah, there is a tier 2 beacon here. I mean, it's only tier 2, but still, I don't want it to increase farther. Every time a tier 4 beacon spawns, it takes a bunch of my time and I usually die. Out of here. Ugh, there's a spider now. Get rid of that. Okay, this stuff needs to go away. Oh, there it is. Wait, is that a... That actually... No, that's a tier 3 beacon. I was mistaken. It's worse than I expected. It's still highly susceptible to incendiary bullets, though. There, I think the crisis is averted, and this yucky stone should turn back into mossy cobblestone. Why do you have a creeper skull on? Well, that's not for you. That's mine. I'll take that. You don't need that. I can put it to good use eventually. These tunnels need to go away. I learned that these tunnels actually create buglins. Like, buglins kind of come out of the tunnels every so often, and then they lurk in the shadows. Like, see, look at that dude just came out of a tunnel. I think given long enough, they'll turn into infection forms. Well, that was annoying. I'm gonna go back to getting rid of my leaded concrete now. This dirt over here personally offends me. I am offended. Well, say goodbye to the leaded concrete. It's all gone. You love to see it. Now I'm gonna get rid of all this nasty factory block, like, beam stuff. I don't know what it's called, but it needs to go away. We're gonna replace it with our cobblestone that looks like steel blocks. It's so much better. Oh, heck yeah. Let's get rid of that. Maybe there'll be some use for it in the future, who knows. But right now it can sit in the chest. And be happy that it's not getting thrown into a trash can or lava. Ender IO might be worth it literally just for that painting machine, if nothing else. Because, boy, would I need a lot of steel. If these were real steel blocks. You know, the issue is, with the pattern that I kind of wanted, I might have to raise the ceiling up by 1 block. Or make the ceiling 2 blocks thick more specifically, which either way requires me to lift up these steel blocks here by 1 block everywhere. That is tedious. Good grief. I don't know why I do this to myself. I don't know why those zombies do that to themselves. They could just go literally anywhere else, but instead they make a beeline straight for my railgun. Now they're digging through my floor again. Come on, can you not do that? I get you're trying to invade, but could you not? This is why I need turrets. I said that I was going to add turrets in the last video. Look, they're breaking my railway. They do this all the time. I don't know why. Okay, fix the track. Wait, what? Why is it a rail with gag in parentheses? I don't understand what the problem is. There are also large parasites outside my house. And they turned into more parasites. I need to leave. All I want is to fix my tracks, and instead I get invaded. This is just making my case for adding turrets. And I have no idea why these tracks are broken. Can someone tell me what a gag track is and why it is placing gag tracks instead of normal tracks? I am getting mildly infuriated. I have no idea, bro. This is bad. Anyways, I left the world and I went to a different world and it worked fine, and so I came back and now it seems to be working. I don't know what the problem was. Like I said, maybe somebody knows what was happening. I suddenly feel an overwhelming urge to add additional chain link fence with barbed wire outside of my house, this time alongside of my railway, so that hopefully less mobs will waltz their way into my big factory via the railway. Hopefully less of them will destroy my tracks every time there's an invasion or a blood moon. Maybe it's not a great idea to use the painted cobblestone for fences, because that's kind of meant to be a defensive structure, and I suspect that solid steel blocks have a much higher like hardness level, blast resistance level than cobblestone. But unless it becomes a problem, I'm gonna go with the painted cobble. You know, another thing I said I was gonna do in the last video was electrify my razor wire, which apparently is a thing you can do. So if I make some transformers, if I make a high voltage and a normal transformer, I should be able to get power to the outside of my factory near my, what is it, like my food storage. I'm going to try to electrify the razor wire there. Plus, I need power there if I want to add turrets. Because I'm adding turrets, I need to increase my defenses. I'm not happy with getting invaded all the time, despite having a big fence, which does help. But it would be even better if it had turrets on it. So I'm going to make a lot of the tech guns turrets, which are pretty nice. Because the great thing about them is you can put any tech gun or weapon in there, and then it just becomes whatever turret that, like, it just becomes a turret of whatever weapon you put there. So if you want a sniper turret, you put a sniper in the turret. If you want a normal turret, I'm just gonna put like an M4 in there, and it's gonna be great. So I need to make some turret armor, which is made out of like carbon stuff. Need to keep the turret safe. Carbon stuff, unfortunately, is made out of diamonds, among other things, and I don't actually have a lot of diamonds. 500 is not very much when you're playing an industrial mod pack. I realize as well, if I'm going to make a lot of turrets, I'm going to need a massive amount of magazines for the rifles, because I'm going to just be using M4 rifles, so I need assault rifle magazines. And I don't have very many of them. And it goes without saying, if I need rifle magazines, I need bullets to put in those magazines, so that's another thing I'm going to have to try to work on. So I already have 3 M4 rifles, but I kind of want to hold one of them back in case I die and I don't have a gun and I need a gun. So I have 2 of them, and I have 4 turrets, so I need to make 2 more rifles so that all my turrets can have their stuff. I also kind of need to clear the ammo out of these guns because I think it's incendiary and it might screw stuff up, and I don't want them to have incendiary. Also, I can't make incendiary right now because I don't have a chemical plant. And for some reason, my wires broke. Somewhere along the line, these are not transmitting power. Oh, would you look at that? It's dust. Great. I'm such a huge fan of dust falling down into cracks in my floor and killing my wires. That's not very realistic. I wish this was more realistic. Dust shouldn't actually break the wire. It could probably cause other problems, but literally breaking the wire would not be one of them. Well, no harm done other than, I guess, a little bit of lost materials. I wouldn't recommend being here, Skeleton. I am in a bad mood. I don't like dust. It's dusty and it gets everywhere. It's almost as bad as sand. Well, here are 2 additional rifles. So now I have weapons, but I don't have ammo for them. No matter. You're telling me you can't dual wield rifles? That's unfortunate, game. How am I supposed to partake of my Second Amendment rights if I can't dual wield these rifles? I'm being infringed. So it's actually pretty easy to take stuff in and out of these turrets. If you put a hopper on it, it's going to take out the empty turret magazines, and it's also going to input full ones. So let's set up the transformer over here. I'm going to take this high voltage transformer, we're going to transform it down into medium voltage, which we run into another transformer and it goes down to low voltage. And this low voltage can get connected directly to the razor wire. And now, apparently it's electrified. I don't feel like it did much more damage to me, but it might just be because my armor is really good. I mean, look, it says additionally low voltage wire can be attached for electrification. So supposedly it worked, but I'm not quite sure. So we're going to put the first turret here, and I have to do actually quite a bit with this. I have to give it power, but I also need to have a way to input and output the magazines. One way I might be able to do this more efficiently is if I use Ender IO conduits, because they can occupy the same block instead of having to use one block for one thing, or one side of it for one thing. So if I put the energy conduit here, I can actually connect the energy conduit to a low voltage connector. And now the turret has power, so it's doing its thing. That's pretty cool. Let me go ahead and add the other turrets around here. We're going to add 2 more of them outside of, or on the wall of this compound. And I think we're going to put the other one over where I added that new bit of fence. This one can defend the other opening for the railway. So the way I'm going to handle the logistics of the magazines is I'm going to make these linked ender chests to magically transport the loaded and empty magazines to and from the magazine automation, so that I don't actually have to do any of it manually. That's my master plan. The only problem is these chests require these literal stars, like shifting stars. We're getting some magic because it teleports stuff. It's a whole thing. Shifting stars are from Astral Sorcery, and I can only make them at nighttime. And it's not nighttime anymore. As you can see, it is no longer nighttime, which means I can't make more shifting stars. And I need quite a few of them. Let's check on my brick automation, my concrete bricks. How many do we have? That's pretty cool. We have about 11 or 12 stacks. I'll take it. So I'll just work on the actual ammunition automation then, until I wait for, or until it becomes nighttime. So we're going to use an ammo press, and this ammo press takes several different combinations of materials to make bullets. I think the one that I want to use here, since I don't want to use steel and I really don't want to use, what was that? Bronze, because it's annoying to make. I'm gonna end up going with the lead and tin combination plus gunpowder. So in order to make this, I obviously needed the ammo press, but then I have to craft the ammo with the magazines, which requires a sequential fabricator. And that's the thing I had to make earlier. It's so fun to make. I enjoy making it immensely. Well, that took a while, and it's now nighttime again, so I can keep making shifting stars for my linked ender chests. I actually don't think that's enough still, but it's enough to start building. I think I'll probably need 2 or 3 more though. Uh-oh, there's parasites here. This is why I need turrets. So these ender chests function like normal ender chests, except they have color coding on top of them, meaning you can create different color channels, and then once you have like 2 different chests that have one red bar like that, then they'll only communicate with each other and not any of the other channels. So it's a very great way for moving around items, like basically just by teleportation. So if we have one channel, one group channel for the inputs and one for the outputs, we can just take out empty magazines, stick them back into some loading thing, and then ship them right back out to the turrets. Then I don't have to do a darn thing, other than make sure there's gunpowder, but we'll get to that later. I probably should finish stringing the rest of these lines on the fence here. I was originally going to electrify them, but I seem to be overloading the wires, and also I think that electrifying the razor wire ended up taking too much power from the turrets. Plus, the damage increase seemed negligible, so I don't think I'm gonna end up electrifying it, unfortunately. It sounds cool, but I don't think it's that worth it, in reality. Besides, they'll still take damage, and also they will get shot by the turrets. So, perhaps the electrification was overkill anyways. Since it's nighttime again, I can make the remaining couple shifting stars that I managed to not make last time. Now, I should have enough to make this. So if we make a ton of Ender IO filters, I can go over to my turrets and I can tell the turrets what to go in and what to go out where. We also want to make sure they target animals, because some of the invasions spawn animals which are hostile. And if you don't tell it to target animals, it's not going to shoot them, even though they're angry. Well, this is our 4th turret. I don't know for sure if these things require the filters. It may be that they don't, but I'm going to use them just to be safe. I have to add another transformer system here to get a low voltage power over to that turret. Now that we've done that, it should be active. And it's nighttime again. Let's go see what my turrets are going to do. Now that it's night and they should have ammo, I think I gave them a little bit to test the system out. Let's see what they're going to do. Aha! Look at that. That zombie didn't even get close. Alright, Creeper, follow me. It's a great idea. You're going to definitely want to follow me over here. Ah, there we go. Creeper down. Okay, cool. Before the turrets run out of ammo, let's go ahead and make that ammo automation. So we're going to start with the ammo press, and it needs 3 inputs. It needs, what was I going to give it? Gunpowder, lead, and tin. Then we connect that to a sequential fabricator, and we connect the output of the fabricator to our input, our full magazine input, Ender channel, and then another input for the fabricator comes from the empty magazine Ender channel. You can probably see how this is going to work. But right now, I have no magazines, empty or full. So let's go ahead and make a massive amount of those. We're going to make these iron mechanical parts. And once I have a huge number of iron mechanical parts, we're going to make a bunch of magazines. I seem to have less than 100 iron ingots left. That's a little bit problematic. I should probably do something about that. Anyways, now that that's been taken care of, I have a lot of magazines. The nice thing is you actually, like for each stack of those mechanical parts, I get 4 stacks of magazines, so it's a pretty good deal. Don't want to forget about the barbed wire that's actually supposed to go on my new fence. It's kind of the most important part. Now I can take these blocks of lead and blocks of tin. We're going to come up here, transform them into ingots, and add these as inputs for my ammo factory. Now, all we're missing is gunpowder. And there is only one good recipe for gunpowder. It requires a lot of niter/nitrate, pulverized charcoal, and sulfur. The issue is the charcoal. Because, well, charcoal, there's only one way to get charcoal. It's still from smelting logs. And I don't smelt logs, and I have had no reason to smelt logs. So I have no charcoal, basically. I do have a lot of logs, so if I can turn them into charcoal, we'll be good. So I think I'll kill 2 birds with 1 stone, because I have been running low on creosote oil, and I don't have any current production of creosote oil. But I can get some creosote from smelting logs in the coke oven, and that'll give me the charcoal, obviously, plus it will create a little bit of creosote. Of course, I have to deal with the pollution output from these coke ovens, because they create a lot of pollution. That chest right there contained my old coal coke automation, and I threw all of it in a chest, and it's just been waiting there for me to need it again, which I do now. So once I borrow that infinite filter from downstairs, I can stick it up here. That'll take care of the pollution. And I forgot, I need this pump here to take the creosote oil out of the furnaces. Anyways, these conveyors will take out the actual charcoal pieces, and we'll send them into one chest there. Underneath that chest, we've got the pipe that takes out the creosote oil. Then we're going to stick that into a big fluid tank. And eventually that tank will fill up, and I'll have to add a system that deletes the excess, because I don't want it clogging up everything. Oh right, I haven't put a lever on that pump yet. Always forget about that. Anyways, now we're getting creosote in there. And we're getting charcoal. So gunpowder is semi-automatically automated. Let's test this out with a stack. We're gonna build rifle rounds. We're gonna put a stack of gunpowder in there. And so now if I get my little conduit, my little item conduit, we can put that here and it's gonna, oh no, no, it creates pollution. I forgot. It's a bug that I'm still trying to fix. The ammo press creates pollution. That's not good. At least it's producing the rifle rounds and we're automating it, but it's creating pollution. Why? If I want to avoid polluting my entire factory and everything above it, which I'm not very good at avoiding, I'm gonna have to do something about that ammo press because I can't find the file for it in the config. I'm still looking around for that. But until then, I need to try to bring over some ventilation. This tornado is not helping things. I'm not gonna lie, it's not helping. I brought some vents over from where the infinite filter is for the coke oven, so it should help with that a little bit. But I'm noticing that my sequential fabricator is getting completely filled up with empty magazines, and there's no room for the bullets to go in there, which is a bit of a problem. This is something I've run into in the past with these kinds of sequential fabricators, but I just noticed there is an augmentation that seems to provide a solution. The augmentation I just stuck in there seems to say that each slot is designated 2 inventory slots and no more, which actually is what's happening. So apparently it can't overflow now with garbage. That's perfect and will be quite useful later when I have to automate Thanksgiving dinner. I really need to get mending on this stuff badly. So I do still kind of have to make that fusion reactor at some point, which is not going to be easy. I think I showed off a little bit of this in the last video, but here it is again. Need a lot of compressed dash and derium. Gonna need a lot of solenoids. Heck, the fusion core alone is a little bit of a nightmare to make, especially these elite lithium-ion batteries, which I decided to include in here, mainly because lithium-ion batteries are a huge pain to make, and it takes a lot of these. I have to make many stacks of lithium-ion batteries, and well, they take lithium manganese oxide alloy or whatever. They also take hard carbon alloy, which requires diamonds, and I only have about 500 diamonds left, and that's not very much. I also need a lot of crushed rhodochrosite, something like that, which comes from granite. Granite's not automated, diamonds are not automated. You see my predicament here. Gonna need some stuff. Oh, that's not good. Why? Okay, well, apparently smelting logs in these furnaces created a huge amount of pollution, even though it shouldn't have, although I kind of know why it did. That's unfortunate. I was just trying to make some extra charcoal on the side. We're gonna get rid of that. Ah, creeper. Go away. Get out of here. Stupid thing. Right, so diamonds. Obviously, I could just go mining, but who's gonna go mining? It's 2024. Who mines anymore? And so another way I could do that is I could get diamond ore from coal veins from excavators, but that's not very much of it. So instead what I could do is I could get, let's see, graphite ingots, 64 graphite ingots, and compress it into 1 diamond. And 1 graphite ingot is equivalent to 1 coal. So what I actually will do is move this old excavator, which was at the quartz vein. I'm going to move it over to a coal vein, which there happens to be one quite close by. Of course, to move it, I'm actually going to make a capsule, because I don't want to rebuild that thing by hand. I've done that probably dozens of times in the previous 800 days that I've been on this world, and I'm not interested in doing that again. So, if these bats could leave, I could show you where the coal vein is, but they're these evil bats that are trying to kill me because there's an invasion, and my turret doesn't recognize them even though it's targeting animals. That's so cool. Anyways, so there should still be a coal vein here. Let me just check and make sure I didn't deplete it. Nope, it looks like there is still a lot of coal here. That's very nice. And there we go. There's my excavator. I think I put it in the right spot. I'm just gonna have to reactivate an old high voltage power line that is coming out of my wall right there. I'm gonna have to bring that up here, up and over the wire. You know, I think there actually is a zombie spawner inside this weird, like, cobblestone structure. I'm pretty sure there's one here somewhere, and I'm not sure where. But zombies keep appearing all around me, and I don't like it. So if I stick a relay up here, I should be able to get that over the fence, and then I can attach that to the connector, and we should be good to go. We're getting that coal, getting those diamond ore blocks very rarely. It's like 1% of it, maybe less than that is actually diamond ore. This baby zombie is having some difficulties. So what I want to do is I want to obviously get more than one coal per coal ore. So if I make a pulverizer, I can get multiple coal per coal ore. First, it would probably be a good idea to put some storage drawers down so all the stuff that's coming out of that excavator isn't just despawning, which is exactly what's happening right now. It's sitting on the ground, getting wasted. I need conveyor belts though. So we're going to go over to my leather silo from my ground traps and grab some leather and use that to make conveyor belts. Now I can use these conveyor belts over at the excavator to bring all the items over underground. I'm going to go right here. We're going to dig down and go underneath the railway. As long as I don't break into the railway and destroy it, that would be a nice thing to avoid. Oh, that's the railway right there. Yeah, let me go down a little bit farther. I don't really want to break that. Okay, here we go. We're under it and I've turned the corner and now I am inside of my factory, although I am directly under the walkway, which I don't really want to be under the walkway. That's kind of supposed to be a clear area. Okay, now I moved it over. We're not underneath the walkway, so I can stick a bunch of our conveyor belts down here. So we're literally just going to drop it down the chute and it's going to follow this path. Now I take some vertical conveyor belts and I stick them here and we move this stuff up. Perfect. I'm going to insert it directly into this drawer controller, which will be connected to 3 storage drawers. One for diamond, emerald, and coal. I'm not going to do anything with the diamond and emerald ore, it's just going to sit there. But the coal is where we're going to have stuff happen. So yeah, so about that pulverizer, we're going to make that pulverizer now. I also need to make a melter and an ingot former, because graphite ingots, you have to melt the coal into liquefacted coal, and then you have to reform it into graphite ingots. It's a little bit annoying. You can't actually just put 64 coal in the compressor thing and have it become a diamond. Alright, there's the rock crusher, and then we use that to make the pulverizer. Now that we have that, time to make the melter. Oh great, servo mechanisms. I love making servo mechanisms, that's so cool. There we go, servo mechanism, melter. Now that's most of what I need. I still need the pressurizer, and I also need more food. But let's start making this. So we're going to take ourselves our pulverizer. I'm going to use an item conduit. We'll take the item conduit and we'll transfer the coal to the pulverizer. Once I get the correct side configured with an input, we're going to get the coal ore in there. We're going to upgrade it. Upgrade it a few times. That should make it faster. And at this point, I didn't realize there were speed augmentations. I discovered that later in the video. It would have been nice to know that now. Anyways, it goes straight into the melter, which melts it down into coal, liquid coal. And the ingot former takes the liquefacted coal and it turns it into graphite ingots, which I need to then send into a pressurizer, which I don't have yet. I also need to speed up the ingot former because it's quite slow. Oh yeah, that's pretty fast. Also need to speed up the melter. Now the melter is going really fast, which is what we want to see. I'm also going to have a chest that stores graphite ingots so that I just have a bunch of them on hand if I want them. And the rest are going to get sent to the pressurizer. Unfortunately, I need heavy engineering blocks, and I don't have any heavy engineering blocks. As usual, what a surprise! No heavy engineering blocks. So I'm going to try to make a bunch of extra of them while I am here. I will actually make 32 of them, which is a lot to have at one time. At least it feels like a lot to me. Now I can use 2 of them and make the pressurizer. Electric motor. I actually made multiple electric motors. Hopefully they will last more than 5 days. And with the pressurizer, now let's go and put it over at the graphite automation. Okay, so if I stick it there, I should be able to put the graphite in there. Then I will be very optimistic and place a double chest as the output for the pressurizer. That's anticipating having an entire double chest of diamonds at some point. Well, that's why I said that might be a little bit optimistic. Now that diamonds are automated, I still need to keep trying to make gunpowder when I can, which is a little bit difficult because I don't have all the materials. So I guess I'm just going to work on a little bit of building since I've got multiple things automated, and I need to add some flooring to the second story of my factory. I'm going to also add a stairwell, although I have a jetpack, so stairs are a little bit redundant, but it's more the thought that counts, if you know what I mean. Oh yeah, that's right. I've got a builder's gadget thingy. I don't actually need to place this by hand. I'm my own worst enemy in that I forget useful tools that I've made in the past. Too bad I haven't figured out how to use the builder's gadget thing to place big pillars yet. Pillars of painted cobblestone. This part, I'm going to put concrete as the ceiling. I still will have to go back probably and add stuff there later. Oh, you know, I'm used to having strength. When all my nutrition is good, I have strength, so I can normally punch stuff, but I obviously couldn't do that there. I need a lot of steel because I want to make part of the ceiling out of steel scaffolding, kind of for the walkways, but I also don't have a lot of steel left, and steel is not currently automated, so I'm going to reactivate my blast furnace here, which I was using to make steel from coal and iron. It's a recipe specific to that blast furnace. It's kind of overpowered. At some point I might get rid of that, we'll have to see. The issue is it creates pollution, and I am currently using all my infinite filters, so I'm going to use the one nether star I have remaining and make a new infinite pollution filter just for this, so that I cannot kill myself with pollution. Now I feel a little bit less bad taking a ton of fuel and using it as a building material, which is what I'm doing here. I'm filling in these walkways with the steel scaffolding. So I think it looks kind of cool, being able to see like down below you to the train tracks and stuff like that, and it breaks up the monotony of concrete. Gunpowder, I actually have some of the materials for gunpowder now that my charcoal and things have been running, so let's go fill up that ammo thing, the ammo press. That should produce a lot of rifle bullets for the turrets, and a lot of pollution correspondingly, but more importantly, rifle bullets. It's been long enough that I have a ton of bricks and a ton of additional red sand, so I can make more of my red sandy stone, hopefully enough to actually fill in the floor, because I didn't get to do all of that. I ran out long before I was able to fill everything in on the ground floor. Unless I am very much mistaken, I have enough now, which would be great, so I can actually finish a project. Especially such a project as this, which is entirely a vanity project. Great, I think that's everything. Very cool. So, I'm gonna need an awful lot of redstone in the near future, so I'm gonna take that redstone drawer and stick it over the crusher, and it should do its thing for a while. I should get several tens of thousands of redstone. I'm also gonna need a massive amount of copper wires for all those solenoids for the fusion coils or whatever they're called, so I might as well just create a ton of copper wire right now. That's probably like 1200 copper, and it should go into the storage drawer here which I've made, and it's just going to fill up with thousands of copper wire. As I mentioned, I'm going to need a ton of granite for that mineral powder stuff, which you get from crushing granite. And I also need an awful lot of tough alloy, an awful lot of plastic, an awful lot of uranium-238 for DU plates. It's just because I need a lot of elite plates, and elite plates take all of that stuff. The elite plates are used for the, whatever they call for the lithium-ion batteries that I need for the fusion reactor. So if I'm going to make a lot of DU plates, I'm going to need a lot of uranium, as I mentioned, so I'm going to actually create a storage drawer here. We're going to stick that at the bottom of the isotope separator, and I'm going to get a crap ton of uranium and get that separating into uranium-238 and 235. So if I can store up several thousand of it, I should be good. You've probably seen a pattern of what I'm doing. I'm just setting a bunch of things to automate, be semi-automated. I cart a ton of stuff over to an automation area, and it then works for a long time. That's kind of what I have to do when it requires so many resources for something like the fusion reactor. And parasites deploying in my base doesn't make anything easier. Stuff blowing up, parasites everywhere, not a fan. Once again, I find myself out of food, so I guess I'll make some stuffed duck, which I have a lot of duck now from my ground traps. I also need a lot of calcium sulfate for the crystal binder for the elite plating and calcium sulfate. It's automated, but it needs a diorite input because there's a mineral from diorite that you need, and I don't have any more of it, so I'm going to need diorite as well. The list goes on and on. Speaking of which, I need more desh. I'm going to need a ton of desh. 270 desh ore is not going to cut it, so I have to go to Mars to make my stuff start automating again. It has chunk loaders there, but I have to visit it once per joining the world to make it start automating again. And there's a slight problem. My rocket seems to have disappeared. My tier 2 rocket is nowhere to be found. It is not in my shulker box, and it is not on my landing pad. This is no good. Where did my tier 2 rocket go? Those things are not cheap. Not at all. They take a while to make. At least they can. You've got to be kidding me. Do you mean I'm actually going to have to make another tier 2 rocket because, I don't know, like a zombie punched my rocket and broke it or something? I have no idea how that got destroyed. Like, did it get sneezed on? I don't get it. I guess I know what I'm doing now. I am making another tier 2 rocket, just what I wanted to do. The only thing stopping this from being a catastrophe is that my systems for creating the resources for the tier 2 rocket have improved since the last time I made it, the first time I made it. So it's not as slow and painful as it was, and I have a ton of resources. So I'm not really lacking in materials. It's just more going through the motions of crafting it, which is oh so fun. Boy, I just love making rocket boosters. Oh my god. I like it so much I fall asleep. This is bad enough without the tornado. Don't make me go to my weather deflector and kill the tornado. I'm sure the tornado would not like that. So maybe stop. Okay. Well, I need meteoric iron. Compressed meteoric iron. That's so cool. Oh, right. I need a nose cone, and the nose cone needs a californium RTG. And californium is not easy to come by, at least not californium 250. In fact, I don't actually have enough californium 250 to make a californium RTG. The only solution to that problem is revamping my reactors and restarting them and going down the isotope chain. That's not what I expected to have to do. I guess I'll start from the beginning though. I'll start with highly enriched uranium-235 fuel, which will get me plutonium that I need, which will then turn into curium, and then that curium turns into californium. But I gotta start with the uranium. Oof. Well, I suppose it's a good thing that I just started creating a large quantity of uranium-235 and 238. Otherwise, I might not be able to make this much fuel. Oh my god, that's 7,000 heat per tick. We need to make that stop. I really don't want a reactor meltdown right now. So I need to do something about the setup for the inside of these reactors, because it is obviously not good. I don't know what kind of fuel that was configured for, but clearly not HAU-235 fuel though. Can't be having 7,000 heat per tick. This is the problem with having only 2 reactors, is I essentially have to rebuild these reactors every single time I put a new fuel in it, because each fuel is different and creates different amounts of heat. If I was actually going to do this the good way, I would make one reactor for every type of fuel that was needed for the whole like californium creation, and then I would just literally automate it, and then I never have to switch it out. Maybe I should do that at some point, but I don't think I'm going to need so much californium that it's worth it. Unless I want to do it because it's cool. Maybe you guys want me to do it. You'll have to let me know. Anyways, right now it's a little bit annoying. So one thing I can do, I guess, is make a bunch of more coolers, and that way I can put more fission cells and moderator blocks in there and speed it up and get more power from it. I just hadn't gotten around to making additional passive coolers. And again, another way I could do this the smart way is actually use active fluid coolers, which consume fluid instead of being passive. So for example, I think an active water cooler, while it would consume water, would cool a massive amount more than passive water coolers. Maybe in the next video. I'll get to that, we'll see. Well, that's 180, negative 180 heat per tick. That's pretty good. So back to making my rocket. Here's a tier 1 rocket engine, even though it's a tier 2 rocket. I guess there is not a tier 2 rocket engine. So I'm mainly just missing the nose cone now. And what would you know, I actually have a californium RTG already. You see, in the last video, I claimed a quest that gave me the option of a californium RTG as a reward, and I selected that because of course I did. Unfortunately, I forgot that I selected that, so I did all that work revamping, restarting my reactors, only to remember that I did, in fact, have a californium RTG. I mean, it's not like I'm never going to need to make another one of those again, so I guess it's not wasted time, but I didn't need to do that right that second, apparently. All that work just so I could go to Mars for all of 30 seconds. I don't even need to do anything here. I literally just need to load the chunks. The turbine is fine, thank God. It's not broken for any reason. Now that I've visited this, the chunk loaders will do their thing, and my excavator will mine dash and send it right back to my base, using one of those linked ender chests. Great! Here we are, back home. Now, while I do whatever I have to do next, I will be collecting dash along with diamonds and red sand and concrete and all these other things. Uranium, going down the list. But we'll get there eventually. I think I learned my lesson. This time, the rocket goes in the shulker box. And if I wanted to be even smarter, I would not even leave the shulker box on the ground, but I'm not that smart. What happened to my coal to diamond automation? Why is it not working? Oh wait, it is working. There's a stack of diamonds in there. I don't know why what was the problem? It's working fine now. I'm very confused. I mean... Oh, that's the problem. I forgot. The pressurizer's really slow. I didn't realize that. Well, I can solve that. It's been 800 days, 830 days, and I have yet to even label one of my treated wood crates that I use all the time. It's the equivalent of a shulker box for me. It's better than a shulker box, actually, because it's not a shulker box. So, I need granite, and I need diorite, and one way I can get those is through an excavator, because I added veins that will provide those. So I wouldn't mind looking for one. So it's not a pure granite, not a pure diorite vein. There's some other stuff that you get because it's meant to be a quote-unquote realistic mineral vein. Like this thing here. An aphanitic, I'm not actually sure the correct, maybe a phanitic vein will give you andesite among other things. Unfortunately, that's not one that I needed. That's one of 3 veins that will give me those types of stone, and that's the one that I don't need. Oh, Akkadian. There we go. That is the diorite vein. Okay, well, that's one of the things I needed. I guess I'll be happy with that, because I've been doing this for a while. It wasn't a long time in the video, but it was a long time in real life. And I'm not sure how much farther away I can realistically go from my base. I'm already kind of far away. So this thing will give me diorite, it will give me salt and nether quartz. I honestly don't care about the salt, but the nether quartz is nice because my old quartz vein obviously doesn't work anymore. So instead of moving an existing excavator, I might do something wild and crazy, like build a new excavator, which I haven't done in a while. It's not like I can actually run all of my excavators simultaneously, I just kind of turn some on and some off as I need them. So I might as well build another one. I have a lot of the materials already sitting around, I realistically will not have to craft very much. Whoa, would you look at that? That's 2,800 copper wires. That's pretty good. I'm also switching out this part of the diorite to mineral powder automation so that I can store a lot more of it. And once I get diorite, I can dump it in there and get my calcium sulfate. I didn't have any redstone engineering blocks, so the natural solution was to craft a stack of redstone engineering blocks, which should last a while given that each machine usually only needs 1 redstone engineering block if they need any at all. And now what I'm going to do is actually add a second power line to my existing grid here. Mainly for the purpose of powering additional excavators. So the way the power lines work, each power line, the actual wires can support about 32,000 RF per tick, which is enough for about like 8 excavators or something on one power line. But the issue is they have to go through wall connectors, and I assume that the wall connectors still obey their limit of 4,000 RF per tick per connector, even if it's a wall pass-through. So I am assuming that I will need to use multiple wall pass-throughs, so I might as well just use several lines as well. Because there's literally 3 excavators in this field, and not that I'm running them all at once, but you can kind of see why I needed so many lines, because there's about to be 3. Okay, there we go. That was a little bit more annoying than I thought it was going to be. But it's there. It's on the ground. We good. So we are going to be getting our diorite, and we're going to be getting our other junk. The other junk can go in there. And this big storage drawer can hold diorite. And now we wait. I'm going to keep working on my Thanksgiving dinner now, because I am tired of running out of food. I have 3 stuffed duck left, and I'm dangerously close to returning to the kitchen. So I have to go through a list of everything I need for this kind of food. This Thanksgiving dinner. Why do I even want to make Thanksgiving dinner? Well, it's a top tier food. It gives every single piece of nutrients. You get a massive amount of hunger and saturation back from it. And I think you also get like resistance and strength every time you eat it. It's pretty nice. So the list of different food items that I need to craft this is quite extensive. Obviously turkey, which I already have, but I also need corn and potatoes, sweet potatoes, cinnamon, sugar cane for sugar. We're gonna need cranberries, and I also need some other type of vegetable. It doesn't really matter what, so I'm gonna choose onions. So I need some kind of grain or something like that to make flour. We're just gonna use wheat. I'm also gonna need fresh milk, and I think I need eggs as well. And I think that's everything. Short list, huh? Well, how do we start? Okay, so a lot of those things will grow in garden cloches. I think 7 of them. Most of those grow in garden cloches. Obviously the eggs don't, the milk doesn't, and the cinnamon needs something else because it comes from a tree. But there's a way around that. So I'm going to start with these 7 garden cloches, and I'm going to make a ton of storage drawers. And I'm going to stick all of the products into storage drawers connected by a drawer controller, and then I can have one singular conduit connected to the drawer controller, which will bring everything out instead of 7 different conduit lines, because that would be inefficient. I'm gonna build it over in my compound next to the other like ground trap stuff, but I kind of need to put some torches up here because mobs keep falling off my ceiling, off of my roof, and they keep trying to kill me from up there. I don't like it. So we can put these in a big row. It's gonna be very satisfying looking once it's constructed. So we'll get some fluid pipes, we'll put them at the back of the cloches, and we'll misplace all of the infinite water sources, but 3 of those should be enough for these. They're not that fast, and they don't use that much water, so I don't think we'll need more. And now I'm gonna get a bunch of extracting conveyor belts. Those extracting belts will all face toward this one straight conveyor belt, which will lead toward the drawer area. First, it goes through an item router. Off of our item router, we're gonna take one conveyor belt and send it towards some netherrack and some fire. This thing is going to incinerate the seed outputs that I don't need. These things produce a lot of seeds, and none of them are able to be turned into more grain bait, which is unfortunate, and so there's not much else to do with it other than incinerate it. I don't want to make plant oil. I will not consume or utilize the seed oil. I've got some of the necessary things in my kitchen, like sure, I've got corn already. There's potatoes here, but some of it I need to purchase from the little market block, which is a nice way of getting any type of seed that you want as long as you have emeralds. I also need to buy chicken spawn eggs and cow spawn eggs because I obviously need eggs and I need milk. Not that the cows will remain cows for very long. So I can go ahead and put all this stuff in here now, making sure that it's in seed form. Put our potatoes in there. Ow, did not mean to do that. Sweet potato seeds. Cranberry seeds. Onion seeds. And corn. Oh wait, I haven't actually powered this yet. I thought I had. I'm a little bit dumb. So it's just a simple matter of redoing my transformer system here so that I can get a medium voltage relay out of it, and then I can bring that relay over here. Anyways, all of this should be growing at the exact same time, so it's all going to be synchronized as well once it outputs. Oh, look at that, see what I mean? And then it all gets stuck onto the main conveyor belt and put into my drawers. And I can't help but noticing my drawers were mostly filled up with seeds. So we're going to take these seeds and we're going to make it so that they go out of the north exit of the item router, meaning they'll get incinerated, and everything else will happily proceed to the storage drawers. Looks like I'm only missing corn. Oh yeah, it's all coming together. That didn't take very long, did it? And that was 7 out of 10 of the... No, 7 out of 11 of the raw inputs. So technically 8 of the raw inputs are done for the Thanksgiving dinner. So unfortunately, you know those sequential fabricators? Those are really the best option for automating this food stuff. Which means I'm going to need a lot of them. I don't actually know how many I'm going to need, but probably 15 or 16 is a good number. So I'm literally going to try to make 15 of them at once. Plus a, what's it called? The phytogenic insulator, which is another growing machine, but that growing machine can actually grow trees, including food trees, which is how I'm going to get my cinnamon. In the meantime, I'm going to return to my greenhouse, probably for the last time, and make some more sandwiches manually. Oh my god, the horror. Manual food creation, this is so unfortunate, but I need more food. I am just going to make the generic peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Unfortunately, if I want to make a lot of those sequential fabricators, I'm going to need lunar sapphires, and a lot of them, because I need them for the thermal machine frames, and I don't really have any lunar sapphires, so I kind of need to go to the moon and do a bunch of mining, which is why I am using this nether quartz to fix my pickaxe, which happens to have mending. Well, I haven't been here in a little while, at least I don't think I have. Maybe I'm forgetting. It could be. Mostly been on Mars, and there are no lunar sapphires on Mars, believe it or not. Neither are there Martian sapphires. Oh great, look at that, cheese ore. That's definitely what I came here for. I still don't understand why there's cheese ore, although, well, maybe I do. So I actually don't really need to use Silk Touch on these lunar sapphires because there's no way of doubling them yet. That's something that I'm going to add in the next update, which will be out by the time you see this. That took a lot longer than it probably seemed like, let's just say. It took a little while, but now I have no idea where I am. Gotta find out where my my landing site is. No problem, I found it just fine. I have 37 lunar sapphires, so I'm perfectly happy to go home now. I don't know why it put me back right here. Usually it puts me back at the world spawn, but this time I got stuck back actually at my base, which is cool. I like that. They should do that more often. Uh-oh. Something happened to my power while I was gone. Oh no, my turbine shut off. Remember what I mentioned about my ever-present battle with my electric grid? Well, here we are. Round 57 or whatever. So I think that this dust that's been being created by my pulverizer has something to do with the problem. That's my little hunch. The issue is I need diesel if I want my turbines to start back up. The nice thing is I carry around a high voltage capacitor fully charged, and so I'm able to use that to restart my gas turbine, which will in turn restart the normal turbine. But if I hadn't had that capacitor, it would have been a lot worse. Clearly I need to do something about this dust, and unfortunately I don't think you can destroy the dust or get rid of it with pollution filters the way you can sulfur and carbon. At least I don't think you can. I'd have to look that up. So I kind of need to just dump it in a pit in the ground for now and forget about it, hopefully. As if the dust weren't bad enough, parasites are busily tunneling their way from underground up underneath my train tracks and breaking them. This is getting ridiculous. The parasite pit needs to have a solution. So I need a lot of coal coke if I'm going to make a lot of those sequential fabricators, because I need arc furnace electrodes for one of those, precision tools. It's just a thing I need for the sequential fabricator, and I don't have coal coke automated because I was able to stop using coke to make steel, so I stopped the coke automation. But now I kind of need it again. Poor spider. I'm not going to use a coke oven though, because pollution, and I'm already using them for the charcoal. So what I'm going to do instead is make a redstone furnace and use that. It also looks like I have 800 diorite, which is kind of cool. And I have about 500 to 1,000 of all of my food items, and it's only been a short time. See, look, I can put my diorite in here, and it's going to create fluorite, and the fluorite will be used to make the calcium sulfate. That's the whole point of that diorite thing. Yeah, so graphite electrodes, HOP graphite, made from coal coke. I suppose I will just go ahead and make 16 of these thermal machine frames, because I kind of have to make a lot of those machines. Most of them are going to be the fabricators, and 2 of them will be other things. Oh yeah, that feels good. Oof, I hate that the redstone furnace takes an electric furnace, which means I need lithium ion cells. I mean, hey, that's kind of why I automated diamonds. Diamonds and graphite. At least I've got like almost 5 stacks of diamonds now. Can make a lot of hard carbon alloy. So I threw in a stack of coal coke blocks that I already had from a while ago into a crusher, and I'm gonna turn that into the HOP graphite that I need, I think, for my sequential fabricators. But I'm still trying to make the redstone furnace, which I can put an augmentation in, which will allow it to create coal coke and creosote. Not that I need the creosote. I will destroy the creosote in a trash can. Boy, I just love making lithium-ion batteries. I sure hope I don't have to make a lot of these later. Anyways, there's the redstone furnace. That's pretty good. I'm going to use this little area over here to automate the input and output of the coal coke. Might as well just use coal blocks. There's no reason to use the less efficient coal itself. And here we are. I think that's probably going to be really slow, but I don't really need it to be that fast. All I need it is to work. Oh yeah, that's pretty slow. Anyways, I think I had from my existing coal coke enough to make the 16, 15, however many HOP graphite rods I need. And I can't help but notice, but one of my turrets is kind of blown up. The block didn't break, but the turret was killed, and the wire was broken, so it wasn't able to repair itself. I can only assume that was the work of some parasite or other. That's no good. I might have to add more turrets here. If the turrets are already getting damaged by parasites, well, we have a problem. Anyways, I have a lot of HOP graphite, but it's gonna quickly disappear. Unfortunately, it takes 4 HOP graphite just to make 1 rod. And I have 18 rods, so that's actually extra, which is really nice, because I also need that for the arc furnace. Anyways, let me go ahead and make a bunch of raw circuit boards so that I can make more circuits. I'm about out of raw circuit boards, which is never a good thing. And I also seem to be out of advanced electronic alloy, which is also bad if you're trying to make advanced circuits, which I am because the sequential fabricators need advanced circuits. And I don't have any of the actual materials to make the advanced electronic alloy because it takes pulverized electrum and constantan, I think, and I don't have the pulverized versions of those metals to make those alloys. So I kind of have to wait for the crusher to finish, and I think the crusher was working on something else, so it might be a while, unfortunately. Oh boy, this is not a fun recipe. Well, there are enough of the basic electronic components, and that's what I have so far. I'm missing the advanced electronic circuit things, and I'm missing the precision tools, those things. Well, I'm gonna need an awful lot of compact electric engines for the precision tools, so I might as well make a stack of them while I'm waiting for everything else to work. Of course, they're not easy to make. Why is my lubricant running out in the crusher? That's not good. I need my lubricant to not run out because that speeds it up by 25%. Why is the diesel not maxed out? Uh-oh, we might have problems. The diesel output, the diesel in the tank, which is what powers my gas turbine and my entire base, is not working. We are depleting it for some reason. Also, why is there gasoline in the lubricant line? I'm so confused. Oh no. my oil reservoir. The oil vein that the pumps were mining, the oil deposit, has run out. We are now getting about 6 millibuckets of oil per tick. Let's just say that's not enough. So I have a limited amount of time to act before I run out of diesel. I don't actually think I can do this before I run out. I need to make 4 capsules, 1 for each of the pump jacks. And I need to take these pump jacks up and move them a few chunks over to right here where there is 140 million millibuckets of oil, which should last for a little while. Hopefully it can last until I have a fusion reactor, which can take the place of my gas turbine. This would be a little bit easier if it weren't nighttime and there weren't a ton of mobs trying to kill me while I'm moving my pump jacks. Out of here. Let's make sure we have enough room. That should be the right spot. All of them are in place. Let's go ahead and form them. I've done this a lot of times as well, not as many times as I've moved excavators, but it's getting tiring. I suppose this is what I get for not building a giant solar array to get steam without using other methods that involve diesel. I suppose this is also what I get for not creating a super amazing nuclear reactor setup which could provide enough power if I really wanted to. Maybe I should have done that. Heck, now that I'm thinking about it, I could even have used the molten salt reactor setup, which it is nuclear powered, but that creates a lot of steam. I think that creates enough steam for at least 2 turbines, which is equivalent to what I have now because I have 1 gas turbine and 1 steam turbine. I don't know. So this high voltage capacitor hopefully will be able to power the pump jacks enough to create enough diesel to be able to restart the gas turbine. The issue is I need high voltage power input to power up the gas turbine once it has diesel. You see, we've got diesel now, but I think my high voltage capacitor ran out. I have a medium voltage capacitor, but I don't think that's going to work. And that's the medium voltage capacitor. I don't think I have any more high voltage capacitors anywhere. I'm even resorting to trying to charge this high voltage capacitor with a portable generator which is spewing pollution like crazy. I don't think this is going to work. You know, I was getting desperate for a sec, but then I remembered I do have 2 nuclear reactors which are not doing anything right now. Every time I have an energy crisis, I always forget nuclear reactors. I don't know why, but they just escape my memory, and these things will produce several thousand RF per tick, which is more than enough to create diesel and charge a high voltage capacitor. Now, I'm actually able to restart my gas turbine. The struggle is real, but it looks like we live to do battle with the electric grid another day. You know, if I was a smart person, I would make a lot of high voltage capacitors right now, which maybe I am a smart person because I did make some extra ones, and I'm going to charge them up, and next time my power grid dies, I'm not going to be so out of luck. Well, the crushers are done. So I have constantan and electrum grit and the platinum grit, and we get an advanced electronic alloy, which I can stick in my arc furnace to create ingots. Back to the task of what was I doing? Oh yeah, I was making compact electric engines. Great, just great. Here we are. I think I have everything. Yep, that's enough for a stack. of compact electronic engines. Then now I can make my 15 advanced circuit boards, and now I just need some extra garbage if I want to make the full circuits. Luckily I don't have to go through the awful crafting of the, precision assembler. I can use mechanism stuff to be able to craft this, and for some reason my machine doesn't have a lot of power. And oh no! That looks like my steam turbine and my gas turbine are out again. I have no idea why. It's full of diesel, it's got 10 buckets of diesel in it. Something just happened to the power. I don't know why, but it caused it to spin down and not reignite. I honestly have no idea what the issue is. Well, it turned back on just fine, so I guess I'll ignore it and keep making my advanced circuit stuff. Yay, 15 advanced circuits. We're getting there, guys. We're almost at 15 sequential fabricators. That honestly better be enough to craft all of my stupid Thanksgiving dinner. If it's not, then I have to make more of these. That's going to be really unfortunate. All that I need now is I just need a bunch of those precision tools. I need 30, 15 of 2 types. That's a bit of an oof, not gonna lie. Anyways, now that I have the electrodes and all the other stuff, the engines, the welders, I can make the welders. That's 15 welders. That's great. I'm gonna make 15 precision inserters. And since these don't stack, I have to do this very slowly. At long last, 15 sequential fabricators. Let's make some Thanksgiving dinner. Oh, look at that. I wonder what day it is. It's the day after Christmas, actually, when I'm recording this. Hence the festive chests. Wait, why do I have weird looking dragon wings? That's not very Christmassy. Shouldn't I have a Santa hat? I'll have to find what the heck is wrong with you. Well, I do like the Christmas stuff. That's nice. Sometimes it's tempting to change my computer clock during the year to make it Christmas stuff, but then it wouldn't be special, so I don't do that. Anyways, here's a phytogenic insulator. This thing allows me to put in, like cinnamon tree saplings, and then I can grow it in there and it will give me the cinnamon, and so that's the only way I know of to automate it without some weird block placey thing. Yeah, we're not getting into that. That would suck anyways. So I have to make some augmentations. I actually have to make a lot of augmentations because I need 15 of the like special slot assigning augmentation things for the sequential fabricators. So need a lot of those, and then I need some that are specific to the phytogenic insulator. One that allows it to grow trees at all, which is obvious, like, yeah, I need it to grow trees. And there's another one that I need, which will make it not consume non-fertilizer inputs. In other words, it will not use up one cinnamon tree sapling that I stick in there. So I don't have to try to feed the outputted cinnamon tree saplings back into the input. I can just delete them. And that's way better, because then sometimes the input gets clogged up and then it's nasty. We don't want to do that. Unfortunately, I have to make a ton of hardened upgrade kits, which require a lot of Invar. The upgrade kits are what allow you to actually add augmentations, because the basic machines are not capable of supporting any augmentations. But once you upgrade it to hardened, you get 1 augmentation slot, and then I think when you upgrade it to reinforced, then you get 2 slots, and so on. Might as well keep up with the uranium demand. Okay, I would like to, but my inventory is not working. Oh, what the heck? That's strange. Gotta get those numbers up, gotta get several thousand of that uranium-238. I also had to make 1 reinforced upgrade because I have to add extra upgrades. I have to add 2 of them to the phytogenic insulator, so gotta have 2 slots minimum. Once I get to the Interstellar Age, I can make the tier 3 and 4 upgrades for these machines, and then I'll get even more slots, which would be nice. I just realized I made the wrong upgrade for the phytogenic insulator, and I need to make a different one. Because the one I thought I made does something slightly different. It's not the one that saves the sapling input. So I gotta make some signalium, make a signalium gear, and then make the monoculture cycle recycle upgrade thing. Once I finally reach the Interstellar Age, I can get it to tier 3, and then I can add that other upgrade anyways, I think, and it will be cool. But for now, these are the 2 I'll use. So I think I'm gonna use this space up here that's kind of behind my concrete automation. I'm going to use this for the automation of the Thanksgiving dinner. It seems like a good spot because it's actually really close to all of the raw item inputs from the outside. So to start with, I'm going to create 2 bottling machines. I hadn't really counted it before, but technically I need a water input, so I have to have a bottling machine that can create water and a bottling machine for milk. Now, milk is kind of a funny thing to automate. If you've seen some of my videos before, you'll know how it's automated, but if you haven't, well, it's kind of funny. I have almost no light engineering blocks, and I need more of them if I'm going to make bottling machines. So what I figured I might as well do is make an entire stack's worth of crafting materials worth of them. This should give me about 2 stacks of light engineering blocks, which is a little bit more than I need, but like I said, I like to make extra of anything that I can. Anyways, I've got the stuff, so we're going to try to build these. We're going to build them right next to each other. This one is going to be for the milk, and then this one will be for the water. Quite simple to build. As you saw, I've already built them before. I built one of these to fill up the concrete buckets. This one is going to fill up milk buckets. The other one, water buckets. Both will be turned into fresh milk and fresh water. The nice thing is you can either use an entire bucket of milk in lots of the milk recipes, or you can use 1 fresh milk. And 1 fresh milk, well, you get 8 fresh milk from 1 milk bucket. So it's pretty obvious that I'm going to be using fresh milk. And the same goes for water. So I'll be using those. And they're not liquids, they're items, which is another one of the nice things. You don't have to deal with liquid transport because they're technically items. So if I'm going to do the water, I'm going to need an infinite water source, probably a compact infinite water source in this case. Normally I don't make these, but I might need a lot of water, so I think I'll make the special condensed version, which is just 8 normal water sources combined into 1 block, and you get about 80 water per tick, which is nice. Okay, so here, we're going to do the cow thing. So the way you automate milk is you make 4 milk jars first. I mean, you don't have to make 4, but I'm making 4 because I have 4 cows. So we're going to make 4 milk jars. And you know, it's just a milk jar, it's an empty milk jar, it doesn't really do anything special on its own. Then what I need to do is I need to get this cow out of this pit, because I kind of messed this up a little bit. Need to float this cow out of here and or grab it with the lead like that. And now what I'm going to go do is get rid of the water in the pit, and I'm going to stick a milk jar at the bottom of the pit. Now we need to get the cow back in the pit on top of the milk jar. Oops. Now I'm in the pit. That's not what I want. And the cow's gone. Okay, the cow's in the pit. Now we drop an anvil on the cow, and the cow gets squished and put into the milk jar. The cow is now trapped in the milk jar. And we do that a couple more times, and suddenly 4 cows have now been squished into 4 milk jars. These cows are now captive and cannot leave, and all they do is sit there and slowly create milk, infinitely forever, with no input. And so then what we can do is we can take these 4 milk jars, and they're very humanely created cows, and we put them on these pipes, and the pipe should transfer the milk into the bottling machine. Okay, maybe those pipes don't work. Okay, I guess it has to be fluiducts. Now, okay, these fluiducts will transfer the milk into the bottling machine from the cows. You see, this is very humane, because if we didn't always take the milk out, then the milk would fill up, and then the cows would eventually drown, but they wouldn't die. Anyways, moving on. What we gotta do now is we gotta create the little bucket return system so that it takes the empty bucket out of the crafter and sends it back to be filled up again. So once 1 milk bucket goes in there, it's just going to create 4 fresh milk. Or not 4, 8 fresh milk. Just like that. Very cool. Now the bucket should be removed. Yep, it was removed automatically, and it already went back. And it's getting filled up with milk. Perfect. So fresh milk is good. I got to do the same kind of deal over here with water. Got to make the little Ender IO thing and loop it back. And now we have fresh water automated. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take this fresh water and we're going to use it to make salt, because that's mostly what I needed the water for. This is why what I'm about to do is why I don't care one bit about getting salt from ore, because you can make salt infinitely from fresh water, along other ways. There's several ways to make salt infinitely without literally getting it from salt ore, which is pretty nice. So we take a pot and then we take fresh water and it makes salt, and that's literally it. It's literally that simple. Now with the addition of 1 conduit, it's taking the fresh water out and sticking it in the salt maker. We're going to use the salt and combine it with some heavy cream to make butter, but I don't actually have heavy cream yet. So what I have to do now is I have to get a mixing bowl and I have to get fresh milk. So we're going to put a fabricator right off of the milk fabricator. We're going to input our fresh milk. We're going to try to make a mixing bowl, but it seems like we are being invaded again. So we're going to get rid of the invaders and then try to make a mixing bowl. Very nice. Now we take this stuff, we stick it in here, and it makes heavy cream from our fresh milk. Very cool. Now we put another fabricator right here, and we import the fresh milk, not the fresh milk, we import the heavy cream from that side, and then from the other side, we're gonna bring in the salt. Now that we're bringing in salt, and we have another kitchen utensil, we can make butter. And that right there is butter automated. So now that I've done that, I'm gonna bring a conduit line from our crop growing area. Like I said, I only have to bring one. I'm just gonna bring it from the drawer controller, and that will allow me to access all 7 of those different vegetables in there. Different food crops, I guess not all of them are vegetables. So I'm gonna make an external heater because I'm gonna start with the mashed potatoes. I gotta make mashed potatoes. That's what I needed the butter for, along with baked potatoes, which is why I'm making an external heater. I'm also gonna make a grinder so that I can turn the wheat into flour. Actually, I'm gonna need 2 grinders, but I've only made 1 right now. One of those grinders is gonna be for, I think, sugarcane or something else. Maybe I'm wrong, we'll see. So with the sequential fabricator, I'm making dough from salt and fresh water, which I already had automated. I just brought them over. And we are gonna take wheat and put the wheat into the grinder. The grinder is gonna create the flour, and then the flour is gonna go over to that fabricator and create the dough. As long as I have a little filter that tells wheat to go into that grinder specifically, then I can just take that off of the line that includes everything else, and it will not clog up because it'll be fine. Now, I need bakerware, because I'm going to use this bakerware to turn the dough into bread. For some reason, I don't actually have to use a cooking, smelting furnace recipe here. I can do it in the crafting thing. It just magically turns into bread. Then we're going to use this bread, and we're going to combine the bread with some butter, and that butter is going to make the bread into toast, which is one of the things I need for the Thanksgiving dinner. The butter is actually used for toast and baked mashed potato things. I kind of forgot about the toast initially. Anyways, that's toast automated, so that's pretty cool. I could eat toast forever if I wanted right now. Now let's deal with the potatoes. That's what I'm gonna do. So this external heater is gonna be used to heat up this furnace, which will cook the potatoes into baked potatoes. Unfortunately, I actually have to use a furnace, although it's probably a good thing because otherwise I'd have to use one of my valuable fabricators. So if we make this insert only potatoes, I actually kind of need a potato if I'm going to do that. Put in the potato, and now it will cook potato and give us baked potatoes. I will send the baked potatoes over to a fabricator that includes more butter, and then it will make buttered potato things. And then if I get a mixing bowl and then I get salt, I can turn that potato stuff into mashed potatoes, which is one of the final output product things I need for the Thanksgiving dinner. Finished product, let's call it that. Okay, so if I put this here, it's starting to get a little bit messy, but this was kind of inevitable. I should be able to transfer the buttered potato stuff straight into the other machine without another conduit. Yeah, it looks like it's working now. I just have to get salt over to it. Somewhere around here is a salt line. I just have to kind of figure out which one of these is supposed to bring salt. We're making salt, although it's possible. Oh wait, we don't actually have enough salt. That might be why. Because there's not enough of the water, because there's only 1 water bucket being used there. I can speed that up by adding additional buckets. It turns out I just wasn't crafting fresh water quickly enough. And it's not like the infinite water source doesn't create water fast, so I can speed it up a lot and be fine. Now I seem to be creating salt. Yup. Look at those mashed potatoes. Oh yeah. Mashed potatoes and toast are done. Now there's a thing of cranberry jelly and a sweet potato pie. Those are the other multi-step ingredients that I need. That's not literally just corn by itself. So I need marshmallows for some reason for the sweet potato pie, which is where I need the eggs, and I need some sugar. So I guess I'll make a chicken coop now. I'm gonna make it on site. It's gonna be right here. The chickens are gonna be very happy. They actually should be pretty happy. I mean, they're not gonna be outside where they could get killed by tornadoes. And there shouldn't be pollution here ever that should kill them as well. Should being the operative word. So I only bought 2 chicken eggs because I was going to breed them and kind of do that and just wait for them to grow up. But it occurs to me I have a ton of emeralds. There's no reason I couldn't just buy a lot more chicken eggs, chicken spawn eggs, and spawn them in myself. I mean, heck, might as well make use of these emeralds. I almost never use them for anything else. Now I have 40 chicken spawn eggs. I don't think I need that many chickens, plus it might start to lag. But that's pretty good. Now there's like 20 chickens in there. Oh, there's a compressed chicken in there. If I can figure out which one that is and manage to hit it and kill it, it will spawn 9 chickens. That would be pretty cool. So I'm adding a little trash can right here to get rid of the feathers because these guys just kind of spew feathers from time to time in addition to eggs. And I obviously don't want feathers. Let me see if I can get that. Ah, look at that. I got it. I got the compressed chicken. There should be 9 more chickens in there when there was 1 previously. Anyways, those guys should just create eggs now. We kind of just have to wait. So in the meantime, I'm going to make the presser, which I can use to turn the sugarcane into sugar. I should get 2 pieces of sugar per piece of sugarcane. Not that I am going to like run out of sugarcane for some reason, but I'll have even more sugar. Oh yeah, look, that's what happens when you don't have a filter. It sticks random garbage in there like wheat. We don't want that. Now it should only send sugarcane in there, and yes, we're getting sugar. So I need to send the sugar both to the marshmallow area and also to the like cranberry jelly sauce area. Yeah, cranberry jelly area. Well, I'll start with the marshmallows, I guess, because I don't have the cranberries up here yet. Not that that's particularly hard. Although it is hard with these conduits. Good grief, that was way more annoying than it should have been. So I have an egg. Now I can use this egg to filter that. We can upgrade this a bunch. Only input eggs. Yes, please. Do not input sugarcane. That is not helpful. We would like sugar to be inputted, not sugarcane. I also need to have water inputted, which means I just have to connect some of the water output to this main conduit line. Maybe I should have just attached literally everything to one conduit line and used the filter. That might have been easier. I'm kind of realizing I could have done that now instead of trying to keep the conduit lines separate. I might have made it more difficult than it needed to be, but oh well. I mean, it's going to work either way. It's just less satisfying. So fresh water is going in, sugar is going in, eggs should be going in now that I've connected that. Yeah, look at that. That's pretty cool. Now it just needs some power. Alright, put that there. 1 more. Alright, we should be good. Yeah, we're making marshmallows now. That's great. I love marshmallows so much. Not. So if we put another fabricator right next to it, we can put the marshmallows straight in there, and we're going to use this one to make the sweet potato pie itself. Which means I need to add sweet potatoes, obviously. And I have to add dough. That's one of the other things I needed dough for, in addition to the toast. Now I just need to get sweet potatoes, and I need to get the cinnamon. I actually haven't done the cinnamon yet. That's the only raw ingredient that is not being created. Okay, so cinnamon can be created from raw cinnamon in a grinder. And I also get grain bait from that. So I'll be forced to route that grain bait down to the rest of the grain bait for the ground traps, but I suppose I shouldn't complain. Since I can't be bothered to do that literally right now, I'm going to instead make the cranberry jelly, which just means add in the new fabricator that inputs sugar and raw cranberry. A lot simpler than sweet potato pie, that's for sure. Yay, look at that. It's all going in. I've actually gotten to the point where I can add the final fabricator, which will make the Thanksgiving dinner itself. This thing can go right here, close to everything else, and I can start attaching some of the outputs from the other steps. Once I get this sorted, we should get mashed potatoes, one of many things. Cranberry is automated now, cranberry jelly. Once I can set up some of these filters, I should be able to get the rest of this in. Like, we're going to filter here toast, cranberry jelly. If I go down here, I'm going to grab my onions and my corn. Those are just the raw vegetables that go with it. Now we should see some other stuff going in, maybe. Oh, there we go. I had to make the side the correct slot. Cool. Toast, onions, corn, cranberry jelly. There, that's actually a lot of it. We're missing a few things now, like cinnamon for those pies. Okay, fine. I'll make it. I'm going to set this photogenic insulator right here. Doesn't have to be anything super fancy. And I need to make a chest input so that I can have a place to stick the fertilizer. I guess that's the only thing here that's not completely automated is the fertilizer input for the cinnamon. So every so often I'm going to have to add additional fertilizer, which is not the end of the world. It doesn't use it that quickly. Now that's been upgraded twice, we can add our multiple upgrades. Is that the right one? Yeah, that's the right one. Cool. I have a lot of fertilizer ready to go. Now we just put our infinite water source there. We're getting water. It doesn't take a lot of water, kind of like the cloches. Fertilizer input, and it should start working now? Question mark. Maybe it needs more water. Hello? Oh, there we go. Yeah, it didn't have enough water. Okay, cool, it's working. It's pretty slow, but it gives me 12 cinnamon per thing, so I think that's probably plenty fast. You know, this is completely unrelated to food, but I sure could use some elevators here. It's only been maybe like 10 days or whatever since I built that staircase, but I'm already annoyed. It's already impractical when I could make elevators. Anyways, we'll do that after this. Here's the grinder. I need to make the cinnamon go into the grinder. It should be able to output from the side, which it is, yes. That's perfect. Now I just have to deal with those outputs, and I have to bring over our turkey as an input, which I have not done yet. I've broken a hole in my floor here, which is the ceiling of the floor below me. I should be able to just extract my grain bait into the same place where all the other grain bait is and just get it on that conveyor. It may be that I actually have enough grain bait now to support additional ground traps, which would be kind of nice. So I've added another furnace here in preparation for the raw turkey, and it looks like it got filled up with fresh water immediately, which is not what I want. So once I connect the raw turkey, it should send it there and cook it into cooked turkey, and then I just have to get that cooked turkey into that main fabricator. Look at that, I've managed to finally get the cinnamon output over to the sweet potato pie. So now we're making sweet potato pie. That was the last multi-step ingredient of my Thanksgiving dinner. That's pretty cool. Although I seem to have filled up this filter, I guess I need to switch some stuff around. Somehow I have to get the sweet potato pie over here. And I don't want that to connect. Let's get rid of that connection. There we go. I think everything should be going in here, unless maybe I still have to connect the raw turkey. Yeah, I haven't done that. It's pretty simple. It just is extending the conduit line over to the big item silo. And flipping that lever now, it should be sending our turkey to this furnace. Look at that, it's already turned on. There's almost a stack of turkey there already. Great. Yeah, I do seem to have enough grain bait to activate an extra 4 of these ground traps. So I should get turkey even faster, which is nice because I suspect that will be the limiting ingredient in all of this. I think it's probably the slowest thing that's automated. So we'll see, but that's my prediction. I have no idea why so much of it is going off of that one. It must not be split 50-50. Or maybe it is and it's just weird. Anyways, I needed to make a cutting board. That was the last thing I needed for the Thanksgiving turkey, and now I have made the cutting board. So if I stick this utensil into that sequential fabricator, it's gonna start making Thanksgiving turkey unless I'm very much mistaken. Oh yeah, look at that, it's going into the chest. Thankful dinner is now automated. Just in time for a blood moon as well. That's so cool. Well, now I can eat a bunch of this and get those extra hearts back that I've been missing because my nutrients have been down. Oh, no wonder I've been having issues. There's a lot of pollution up there, presumably from the ammo press, which shouldn't even be making pollution. But oh well. As I mentioned, I kind of want some elevators so that I can go between my floors much faster than taking a staircase. So I'm going to see if I can make that now. I need some somewhat fancy stuff for these elevators. Mainly I need iridium so that I can make steel casings from mechanism. And I need to make some plastic sheets somehow. Uh-oh. Those type of plastic sheets are conflicting with tech guns and fusion bags, which are not even used. Okay, fine, I'll remove that recipe. Let me go relaunch the game. Okay, I'm back. Uh-oh, it seems to have moved to the other corner. Maybe it's gonna be fine in the bottom corner though? We'll see. Okay, that didn't work. No, let me remove it the better way. Never mind, here we go. I've got these special plastic sheets. Maybe the whole thing was redundant to begin with, but I should be able to make those now. Yeah, I can. I already had some star metal. So I have some elevators. I really only needed 3, and I'd like to dye them black, but because everything is difficult in modded Minecraft, I have to do some fancy stuff to make black dye because I don't feel like going to the ocean to kill squid. So if I pulverize oil sand, I can get tar occasionally, and then I can use that tar with some pulverized coal, and then I get black dye. That was a recipe I had for black dye. I really should make a better one. Okay, now I have black elevators. Oh, that's not gonna work. That's right underneath the hopper. I need to move over by 1 block. There we go. That should be sufficient for our elevator. Oh, look at that. It's all Christmassy and stuff in the painting machine. The little capacitor thing, it seems to be spelling Christmas in every language that Minecraft has. That's pretty cool. I didn't realize that was a thing. There's a lot of Christmas Easter eggs with these mods, I've noticed. Well, now that our food is automated, I can start looking again at the Fusion Reactor, since that's still something I need to do. Why don't I just start by adding this compressed dash to the crafting table, so I can feel like I'm making some progress. I put something in the crafting table, feel a little bit better about myself. I'm gonna add this panzer glass to the sides. What should I do now? We'll make the magnesium diboride solenoids, sure. That's not very hard. I'm kind of going in order of easiest to most obnoxious here, which is probably a bad idea. Well, I'm about to have to make an awful lot of, what are those things? The lithium-ion batteries, so I should probably prepare myself. Anyways, I need 4 mechanism steel casings, which I've now made. That was just some iridium and dash and steel. And now I have to make a bunch more magnesium diboride alloy to make the additional solenoids that the supercoolers are going to require, because that's a different thing I need. I think I need 6 supercoolers. And the supercoolers require those solenoids plus elite plating in addition to super cold ice, which needs liquid helium. And I don't think I have any helium, liquid or otherwise. Well, that's another thing I'm going to have to do. I'm a little bit tired of hand dealing with all of these alloys that I'm going to try to smelt, so I'm going to move my alloy furnace over to this side, and I'm going to add some hoppers and chests to automate it, so that I don't have to do this by hand. I have no idea why I didn't do that sooner. I also have to make 1 Fusion Reactor controller, which is its own 5x5 recipe, so I have to deal with that as well. And I have to make additional chemical plants. I have to make 2 chemical laboratory things, which require a bunch of their own annoying stuff, like electric motors, which I ran out of, so I'm having to make more of them. I got enough stuff to make an entire stack, but that's probably not going to last long. Every time I do this, I think whatever I'm making will last a while, and then it just doesn't, and then I'm sad. Well, at least I have a ton of ferroboron alloy, which I'm going to now turn into a massive amount of tough alloy, because I need that for advanced plates. It's stuff for the elite plating I need, and for the lithium-ion battery cell things. So here are 2 chemical laboratories, which are not to be confused with chemical laboratories, chemical reactors. Not to be confused with chemical reactors, which I needed 2 of, so that that's used in the fusion core controller. Oh right, those go down there, don't they? Yeah, this is not supposed to be compressed dash. Dang. Alright, there's 2 fluid valves. We're gonna stick those down there. Now I'm missing, for that bottom row, the fission controller. I'm also missing 3 like computer engineering block things. And unfortunately, I think I need more circuit boards, which means I need green dye for some stuff. And I have a lot of cactus sitting around, but no green dye. I suppose I should restart the cactus automation. Well, here's a bunch of this glass so I can make the raw basic circuit boards. I don't know if that's going to be enough. Hopefully it will be enough. Also, here's a fluid infuser, which I've been making on the side. This thing I need to make super cold ice with once I have helium. Apparently you get helium from a helium collector, which requires thorium-230, which I have sitting in my isotope chest. At least one thing is easy to make. I already have it. There, helium collector. So if I stick this next to an empty fluid tank, of which none of these are empty, there's a new tank. It should collect helium gas, and then I guess I have to turn that into liquid helium. Okay, back to the computer engineering blocks. These things just require a bunch of circuits. And I made a bunch of raw circuit boards, and then I kind of forgot that I could just use the mechanism circuits, and I didn't have to actually go through all of the immersive mod circuit things, so that was kind of useless. I didn't realize I didn't need to make the circuit boards. But now I have them, I suppose, if I need them in the future. So that was actually a lot easier than I thought. There's an awful lot of tough alloy now, which is good for making plates. So I can start making the Fusion Reactor controller. I remember when I first made this and I thought it was hard, but that was before I had to make the Fusion Reactor controller. That's the best comparison. I don't think any animals are supposed to be in my factory, so if there are any cows or anything else here, I'm going to assume that they are there for no good. Now we have another fission controller, which means I get to complete the bottom row. Now all that I'm missing are my super coolers and the elite lithium ion batteries. This right here is enough elite plating to make the super coolers. So I first have to make superconducting electromagnets, and then I use some other stuff like super cold ice to make them into super coolers. Unfortunately, I just realized that it takes 8,000 millibuckets or 8 buckets of helium gas to make 25 millibuckets of liquid helium. And I have to make that liquid helium in a super cooler machine, not to be confused with super coolers. I really need to do something. There's way too many future cubes that do various things when these could easily be condensed into smaller numbers of machines. You'll see what I mean in the next modpack update. So this is a super cooler. It takes helium and it cools and condenses it into liquid helium, which is just amazing. Well, I actually need a lot more helium than I thought, so while that is collecting helium, I'm going to work on the dreaded lithium-ion batteries. I still never managed to get enough granite. I never found a granite vein for the excavator. I only found a diorite vein. So what I think I'm going to do is just make another igneous extruder and use it to collect granite. For some reason, there's more parasite activity in the parasite pit. Looks like it's trying to create another beacon. There's a tier 2 beacon in the same spot as the last time as well. I don't know what the deal is. Here are a lot of heavy engineering blocks. That's actually an entire stack of them. All because I needed one for the igneous extruder. Just one. And I make 64. I'll thank myself later. Maybe I should have just made one of these for the diorite all along instead of searching for an excavator vein. That honestly might have been easier. Especially because once again it doesn't require lava as a continuous input. It functions the exact same way as the last one. Only it's set to create granite instead of red sand. And check it out. Granite is automated. That was easy. I should have done that a long time ago. Well, I currently have 4 stacks of that granite mineral stuff. And I have a lot of diamonds, which is good because it's time to start making large quantities of hard carbon for all of the lithium ion cells. This granite stuff is getting smelted into manganese dioxide or oxide or whatever the heck it is. And while that's working, I can sit here and try to punch dust into a pit to make it go away. I think that's enough hard carbon. That should be enough. It's 54 times 4 times 4 is how much I need. That's the best way I can describe it. I'll try to put a number on screen that visualizes it. I've made a second oxygen collector here so that I can get oxygen faster, which is what I need to create the manganese dioxide stuff, I think. It should be faster. Or is it just manganese oxide? I forget. Again, I'll put it on screen. I sure would be in trouble if I didn't have granite. Remember that big cloud of pollution above my base? Well, it's making me very annoyed, so I decided to grab one of my old-fashioned pollution filtering stacks and stick it on top of my house. There's only a few gas mask filters in there, but it should be enough to take a lot of the carbon out, and then maybe I can stop dying. In the meantime, I actually have enough stuff to make my lithium ion cells. For some reason, the treated wood crafting table is super laggy when I try to shift click, but now I have 4 stacks of 54. I need a ton of magnesium diboride solenoids now, which would be bad if I didn't have a lot of magnesium on hand. The only issue is I just kind of have to wait around as I run this stuff through my alloy smelter. I have to go through the whole song and dance and steps of elite plating and depleted uranium plating and advanced plating, all this stuff. It's what I did with the solar panels in the last video, so I won't subject you to a ton of that, because boy is it annoying, and it's also stuff you've already seen. It's the same kind of condensing of like blocks. For some reason, the basic lithium ion cells require elite plating, and then it goes to advanced plating, and then deplating, and then elite plating again. I don't know why, but it means I have to make a lot of crystal binder, which would be bad, but once again, I took steps a long time ago to automate a lot of calcium sulfate, which is the difficult part of that recipe. So now I have the pleasure of making tons and tons of stacks of this without a second thought. Here's a lot of elite plating. That should be enough for 54 basic lithium ion batteries. Basic, I don't agree with that labeling. I don't think it's basic. But now they gotta get turned into 18 advanced batteries, which is actually significantly easier because it requires advanced plates and not elite plates. Then we turn them into 6 depleted uranium batteries. I don't know why that you'd want that, but then that gets turned into a measly 2 elite lithium ion batteries. If you actually look at how much it can store a ridiculous amount of power. If I ever actually want to make a backup system for my base, I should probably use those instead of high voltage capacitors. While all that was being crafted, I had been getting helium and slowly cooling it, so I had enough for 24 pieces of super cold ice, which allowed me to make my coolers, thus allowing me to make the fusion core itself. And that's just the central part of the fusion reactor, but that's probably more difficult than the electromagnets. Even though I need almost 200 electromagnets, the core honestly might be more annoying. It's almost comical because I have to make 12 fusion connectors, but those are the normal crafting recipes. I didn't touch that, so it takes like 20 seconds to make that or something. I shouldn't get too excited though, because I still have to make 192 fusion electromagnets, and those are 5x5 recipes. And I need a lot of dash, and I don't know how much I have saved up, but I suspect I'm going to want to do something to get a lot more dash ingots than normal. Luckily, there's a way I can actually get 4 dash ingots from 1 dash ore. It requires an input of blazing pyrotheum, though, which is not actually the end of the world. I have some of that because it's a tiny byproduct from rocket fuel production, and it's not hard to make because it just takes like pyrotheum dust or whatever, and you can melt it down, and then you'll get the blazing pyrotheum. And luckily the pyrotheum dust is just made from blaze powder. It's not one of the other elements, which would be a lot more obnoxious to get. What is obnoxious though is that sound, because that sound means there's a tier 4 beacon somewhere, likely in the parasite pit. What would you know? There's a tier 4 beacon in the parasite pit. Who could have predicted such a thing? It seems to be suffocating though, and it seems to be incapable of spawning reinforcements while it's suffocating. That didn't stop it from poisoning though and killing me. I would consider that my own fault though, because I got too close to it, so I'm gonna blame myself for that. Well, it's actually gone. Interestingly, I think it suffocated. I don't think it even got hit by my lava. I'm pretty sure it literally died of suffocation. I didn't know that could happen. I thought it was supposed to break blocks that it was in, but apparently not. Yeah, I'm not going to complain. I didn't actually have to do anything other than I needlessly died. Apparently, I could have literally left it the whole time and it would have still died. But here we go. I've set up these machines and it should be able to take dash ore. Oh, and I forgot, it needs a cinnabar input. You have to give it cinnabar and blazing pyrotheum, and then it will give you 4 ingots per piece of ore. Cinnabar is something that I have already because it's a byproduct of crushing redstone. Anyways, I can finally use that for something helpful and get a ton of dash from it. I am going to have to make more blazing pyrotheum though, because I don't have enough from that 1 barrel that I collected. As I said though, it's just blaze powder plus some other stuff, which is super easy. I have sulfur and redstone for years. Well, I just have to kind of manage this a little bit, but I guess what I can do while it's trying to do its thing is work on making enderium, because each fusion electromagnet needs 3 enderium ingots. And I can actually make enderium in not a completely horrible way, because if I make lead platinum alloy, I can then infuse that alloy with resonant ender instead of using a much more annoying crafting recipe. It's the same amount of resources, it's just ease of crafting. So if I run this stuff through my alloy furnace in the background, that'll slowly collect. And resonant ender is something I can get from resonant endstone, which you can find in the end dimension. I already have lots of it, so I don't have to worry about that. It's not like I actually need ender pearls, thank God. If I did, then I'd be in big trouble. This is the part where I learned that there's actually speed augmentations that increase the processing speed of machines. And I'm glad I figured that out, because otherwise I would have been sitting here a lot longer waiting for the dash to smelt. Anyways, lead platinum alloy, I've got a lot of that. Unfortunately, I kind of have to share this magma crucible. I have to swap between resonant ender and pyrotheum because I only have 1 magma crucible. So if I get the ender over to the infuser, then that'll slowly create my resonant ender. Not resonant ender, my enderium. Well, that sure needed a lot of micromanaging, but I've nearly got all the stuff. I only have to deal with 3 more stacks of this lead platinum alloy. And we're getting there, 2/3 of the way. At last, 9 stacks of enderium. That is the amount that I need. Now I have to find somewhere to put all this extra garbage. Let's not forget about the solenoids though. That is the most difficult part of this crafting. But I'm not going to do right this second. I'm going to do the not iron, we're going to do the steel sheet metal right now. That's like laughably easy compared to the other stuff. Each electromagnet requires 2 steel sheet metal. Just to be safe, I'm going to add another 1,000 copper ingots to turn into wires, and hopefully that'll be sufficient by the time I've finished working on compressed dash. Ah, get out of here. Speaking of dash, I have a full chest full of dash now, which I have to combine with osmium, which is rather expensive, in this electric compressor, and that gives me compressed dash. You know, there's an advanced electric compressor that I could make if I wanted to, and it would be faster. Maybe I should try that. Oh no, it broke my holiday cake. The cake that was sitting on top of that electric compressor. It's gone. I'll have to make another one. I wasn't even eating it, it was just kind of there for decoration. I don't even know why it was there to begin with, but it was kind of funny. Well, This is an advanced compressor. It should be faster, hopefully. In theory. Yeah, I think it's faster. As promised, here is a replacement holiday cake for the one that I broke. Now it can go back to looking fancy. An entire chest of dash ingots seems like a lot, but it actually was barely enough to make all of the compressed dash that I need. So, unfortunately, I have to make solenoids now. If I hadn't already created a ton of redstone in my crusher, a ton of iron, and I hadn't already automated red dye and crushed a ton of lapis, or pulverized it, then this would be a problem. But because I did that, and because I ran thousands of copper ingots through my wire presser, I was able to craft this stuff all in one go. Here we go again, last time. Now the moment of truth, the crafting of the fusion electromagnets. There goes one. It's 3 stacks of them, 192, it's 3 stacks, so gotta transfer all this garbage out of here. There's stack number 2, and we'll go back and get the last of what I need. That was a crazy amount of stuff. Somehow though it feels less obnoxious than making the black hole fusion electromagnets, maybe because I took a bunch of steps to get this stuff on hand initially. But whatever the reason, it doesn't matter. I've got a fusion reactor now, or I've got the materials at least, and I completed the quest. And that quest, when I complete it, it gives me the Interstellar Age, for real this time, not like last time. And 500 experience levels. Not 500 XP, 500 levels. Just look at that Ender IO machine chassis. I can see it now. I can even craft it if I have the right materials. I can't wait to make an enchanter. Then I can get mending and breaking in and everything. So I do kind of have to figure out what fuel I'm going to use now, because there's a lot of different fuels that I could use, different combinations. I mean, there's basic stuff like hydrogen and lithium and boron, but then there's also deuterium and tritium. Some of which is easy to get, some of which is not. It looks like some stuff comes from heavy water, which I don't have, and I don't know how you even make that. I might have to figure out something. Oh, look at that. There seems to be a way now. Wow, that's pretty mysterious. So I would really like to use deuterium or tritium or something like that, but they are quite difficult to get, at least without heavy water, and heavy water requires a lot of stuff and is not particularly easy to get either in large quantities, so I'm not sure I'm going to deal with that. I may end up starting with some basic hydrogen stuff, because you can also get deuterium and tritium eventually by running other elements through the fusion reactor. Some of them will fuse into the other stuff. While I think about that, I decided to add a third wire line to these excavators in the hopes of powering all 3 of the excavators in the field at once. I don't really know if it's going to have enough power to do that, but we're going to see. It seems like it might be able to power all of them kind of slowly, which I suppose is better than not at all. I guess I'll take what I can get. Remember how I automated this building materials a while ago? Well, I did that so I could actually swap out all of the interior. So I think I'm going to take a bit of a break from fusion stuff after all of that crafting and take a day or two to just swap out the materials in here with my new concrete bricks and such, so that I can actually, I don't know, put to use all the stuff I tried to automate earlier. And it will give my brain a bit of a break from all that crafting and figuring out of fusion components. Very nice, very nice. It's coming along. I'm liking it. A little bit gloomy, but it needs some lighting. We'll get to that. There, I think I finished it. That took not as long as I expected. I think it's done. I'm a lot happier with it now. It's a lot less weird, gross color looking. The only thing I can really think to complain about is that's a little bit dark, but like I said, I haven't added any of the lights to it yet. I am starting to run low on clay for the concrete maker though, so I should probably add some more of that. And of course I have to accumulate a lot more concrete bricks Remember how I mentioned that that creosote tank might overflow later or fill up and need to be drained and deleted? Well, it's doing that now. And I'm trying to add a redstone controlled, like, fluid limiter or whatever to stop it from filling up, but it doesn't seem to be working. I'm not sure why. Oh, I know why. I'm just super stupid. It's because that lever that was there to let the fluid out was also powering the redstone. That makes a little bit more sense. It wasn't broken, it was just me being dumb. So there's this thing called a repair crate, which I discovered, and I think it has the potential to repair items and equipment, which would be amazing given that I don't have mending. So supposedly you put steel plates in it, and then it's supposed to repair your stuff somehow. I'm not quite sure how. Oh, look at that! I got a status effect that says undergoing repairs. Oh, that seems like what I want. Oh, look, it's repairing my armor. That's really cool. Okay, so it does actually work. And apparently it repairs whatever you're holding or have equipped, so it's repairing the armor but not stuff I'm not holding. But right now it's also repairing the sword. Okay, well that's cool. I wish I'd known that a lot sooner. It's not even hard to make. So I figured since I have 500 levels, before I die and lose all my levels, I should probably just go enchant a ton of books and get a bunch of random enchantments from my enchantment table so that I can hopefully get some good stuff and not accidentally waste the levels next time I die. Oh, look at that. I'm breaking 3. That's pretty cool. Well, I have about a double chest full of enchanted books, and I have a few more books to go. But I feel like I should probably put some stuff on my equipment now, just in case. It costs a lot of experience. And I only have about 300 levels left. Only 300 levels. I'm so poor. Well, I got some stuff like Sharpness 5 finally, I got Vorpal, I got Decay on my sword, I think I added like Thorns, and this enchantment that teleports stuff away when it hits my armor. So I should be a lot more kitted out now. Yeah, look at that, the zombie disappeared when it whacked me, that's kind of funny. I wonder if that's going to end up actually being more annoying than it is helpful. We'll see. It is funny though. Why does that zombie have a heart of diamond? I've been trying to get one of those for a while. Normally those come from stonelings or whatever, but I don't know, I'm not going to complain, I'll take that. So remember how I said a while ago that I might have to do something about the parasite pit? Well, it's finally time to do something about the parasite pit. And I guess I'll be helped probably by this pickerang, which is why I wanted a heart of diamond, because you can make a pickerang. It literally is exactly what it sounds like. It's a boomerang that's a pickaxe. It's just kind of a fun thing. So my solution to the pit problem is to make some powered lanterns, and these things, if you give them power, will emit light, obviously, but they also stop mob spawning in a 32 block radius around them, which is really nice. So I can stick some of them in this pit, and then even though it's dark, it will stop mob spawning in most of the pit. That's kind of my plan, but that's not necessarily the only thing I'm gonna do here. You see, I'm kind of trying to clear out the upper layers of this pit, so it's a little bit more of just a straight shot down. Look at that, pickerang. Grab that copper ore, that's pretty cool. Ah, there's a yellow eye, get away from me. See, this is why I need to stop them. This is no good. Turret, you gotta help me. This is why you're here. You gotta shoot them. Good job, good turret. You're gonna make me proud. So I'm gonna make some transformers, and we're gonna take some power from the relay that's powering the excavator over here, and we're gonna use that and get some power into the pit. So this pit is going to transform from the parasite pit into the fusion pit, because I think that this would be a great spot to put my fusion reactor down in the bottom of the pit, or part of the way down. You see, what I'm gonna do is go from having this be a horrible mob infested pit to no mobs with those nice lanterns, and it's actually gonna have a good use. Because I kind of want the fusion reactor not right next to my stuff in case it blows up or something happens, and if it's down here, I figure it'll be a little bit safer if something crazy happens to it. It also might seem like a dangerous idea, but I've got some things that might help with that. I'll show you what I mean. Anyways, the lanterns are on, so let me go far away for a little bit and unload those chunks, get rid of any mobs that are there, and then I'll go back and see if mobs are here. Oh my god, why is there a beacon? That's not really what I was hoping for. That's kind of bad, actually. Although, there's no other mobs here, I'm noticing. There's just the beacon, so I think the beacon must have... I mean, the beacons don't spawn naturally in the world, so I suppose that's not unreasonable. Well, I turn off the lanterns for like 5 minutes or whatever, and I moved them down, and now it's infested with mobs again, but apparently there's a slime chunk. I suppose that's kind of nice to know. This slime is a little bit of a pain to get. Not that I'm gonna do anything with it, I mean the lanterns are on, so nothing's gonna get powered. Check it out, I have so much thankful dinner now. That's so nice. I've got almost a chest full of it. 2/3 of a chest. So I already was bringing some power down there, but I realized that I need to bring a lot of power down there. If I'm gonna put a fusion reactor there, I need to connect a lot of wires there. And that may seem counterintuitive because, like, isn't the fusion reactor supposed to provide power for me? Well, it is, but unfortunately you have to power the fusion electromagnets, and they take a huge amount of power to get started. So you have to dump tons of energy into the fusion reactor before it can even start doing anything on its own. So for a little while, it's actually going to be a massive power drain. In order to protect the fusion reactor from any nasty things that might come up from the pit underneath it or from the caves nearby, I'm going to make the special type of concrete bricks called Ubercrete or Uberconcrete bricks, which are the most advanced type of concrete bricks I think you can make. And I've used these before, actually, in my very first 100 players Parasite event, and I noticed that they were almost unbreakable. I'm not sure if there was anything that could break them. At the very least, only the most giant parasites could, and I don't think those are spawning right now anyways, so if I make them, nothing should actually be able to break the floor or anything I build out of those bricks, which would be very nice. Unfortunately, I can only make them in the arc furnace, and I first have to make panzer concrete bricks, which are used or are made from steel rods and just normal concrete bricks, and it takes a lot of power, which is why I'm over here trying to see if I can get my reactors active in producing power, because the arc furnace is very power hungry, especially this recipe in particular. For some reason seems to take a ridiculous amount of power, and it's not very fast either. So this is going to take a little bit while to create, and like I said, that's just creating panzer concrete bricks. That's not the final form of the bricks. So one thing I'd like to do is build a tunnel from my little work area underneath my factory and dig it all the way over to the parasite pit so that I have an easy underground way of getting there in case I need to for some reason. It looks like I'm already outside of my factory, so I'm going to need to take a left turn and start going down because I gotta get to, I don't know, like level 30 or level 20 or something like that. I'm also going to make a little staircase right here in this hallway at the end of this hallway so that I can access this tunnel from a few different locations. Oh, look at it. I think I made it to the bottom. We're pretty close to the bottom. Yeah, look at that. There's our lanterns down there. And those lanterns are at about the level or slightly lower than the level I want to get to, where I want to build the fusion reactor. So I've dug out the little area here, and for some reason there are a bunch of infected blocks over here. Is there some beacon that I can't find? No, there doesn't seem to be anything here. Some infested dirt. No beacon, though. I honestly don't know why that was there. There's a beacon back in this room, though. That's the third time a beacon has spawned here, and it's at stage 3 beacon. What the heck is this? I don't even know why it was there. This whole place is covered in residue. Is that, like, does the residue make beacons more likely to spawn? I don't get it. Well, about half of the panzer concrete bricks have been created, so we're getting there, I suppose. But the arc furnace electrodes aren't doing well. Well, another thing I could do is try to make a tier 3 rocket while I wait, because I need that. But I seem to be blind, because there's an invasion that includes illagers, meaning there's some illusioners that are making me blind. This is not great. At least my turrets can see, but I can't. Well, here's the illusioner. It's not very illusion-y. I can see the particles. I know where to shoot. Okay, I don't know where's the main one here. These guys are little holograms. Oh, that must be it. And it got teleported. Nice. Oh, there he is. Got him. Out of here. I think that ender might teleport as well. Yeah, one thing I can do while I wait is make the rocket tier 3 rocket, whatever it's called. This thing, it's what you use to get from Mars, or I guess after Mars you can use it to get to Venus, and I think you can also get to Mercury and the asteroid belt with it. I think it's pretty good. Be a little bit better though if people weren't trying to invade my factory all the time. Remember how I started doing a bunch of nuclear fuel processing to try to get more californium? Because I thought that I needed it at the time. Well, I'm going to need it now, because I'm going to need another californium RTG for a nose cone. But the good thing is I have enough curium to make enough californium to get the right californium fuel to make californium 250. So in other words, I'm pretty good. I just have to wait for some of this stuff to burn down, which is nice. And in the meantime, I will go and work on the rest of the rocket parts, because the tier 3 rocket components are made with tier 2 rocket plates, and you combine that with compressed dash, which I've already made a ton of, so that's pretty easy. It's literally like, I think almost the exact same as the tier 2 rocket, except you add compressed dash to some of the things. And you have to make a slightly different booster. Whoa, look at that. Heavy duty plates, tier 3. Oh yes, that's what we like. I think I'm gonna need more than that, but here's a heavy rocket engine. Gonna try to make these heavy rocket fins, so that's a little bit expensive. I need actually quite a bit more heavy duty plate. Oh well, that just means I'm gonna have to start from the beginning. I need to make additional tier 1 plates, which is from aluminum, bronze, and steel. So that's gotta run. Anyways, looks like I've burned through that piece of curium fuel in this reactor, which is nice. I can speed it up again. And here is enough californium to make a piece of low enriched californium 249 fuel. Once I get around to burning that, I'll get my californium 250. This should be enough for the heavy rocket fins. Yep, we can make 4 of those. I've got some stuff left over, which is great. I'm gonna need just 10 heavy duty plates and then 3 more for the nose cone. Gotta make those boosters as well. Those are annoying with the whole like fuel canister garbage. Alright, let's take that nuclear fuel out, and instead we can swap our californium. I don't really want to hold this for long because it's extremely radioactive. Even with heavy radiation shielding, it still is 1 rad per tick, which is bad. Oh, quick, put in. There we go. Okay. Oh, that's 1,000 heat per tick. We don't want that. I gotta clear out some of this stuff here. That should probably be good, removing those cells. And oh wait, now it's negative 800 heat per tick. That's actually too good. I don't need it to be that cool. There we go. That should be good. About 6 minutes or whatever. It's plenty of time. We'll go make the other stuff. It's not like I'm trying to go to another planet at the end of this video anyways. Whoa, what was that? Whatever it was got teleported away. I have no idea where it is now. Anyways, my panzer concrete has been created, so now I can take the panzer concrete and combine it with leaded concrete. Yes, I actually get to use the leaded concrete for something. The stuff that I took out of my floor, I can use it to create the uber concrete. What do you know, it won't go to waste after all. The nice thing is it also makes 2 blocks of uber concrete with only 1 panzer concrete block, so it's a little bit more efficient. Well, there is our 9 tiny clumps of californium 250. So now, if we go ahead and make these plates, we can make our californium RTG, and we can use that to make the nose cone for the rocket. Meaning we're about done with the tier 3 rocket. Once these bronze and aluminum and steel plates all finish up, then we'll be good. Just gotta wait for that. Heavy nose cone. Yes, please. I just literally need 3 more. That's all I need. We're so close. 3 of that, plus 3 compressed dash. Yay! 3 heavy duty plates. Put away this extra stuff, and if we go over to our NASA workbench, we can stick everything in here, and we've got ourselves a tier 3 rocket, giving us access to, like I said, Venus, Mercury, and the asteroid belt, as far as I know. Oh yeah, that's pretty cool. That's not actually everything that I will be needing for whenever I go there, though. I have to make some additional thermal armor for those various other locations. The current thermal gear that I have is not sufficient. Most of the thermal stuff just needs a lot of wool, which is, it would have been a problem in the past, but it's not an issue now because I have automated cotton and I can turn that into wool. It just comes at the expense of a little bit of tedious crafting. Great, there's a stack of those insulating things. Now I can make some isothermal armor. I'll have to look up the exact meaning, but I assume that this stuff is probably for Mercury and Venus, which would be hot locations, so I suspect it's for cooling. I'll have to look up the etymology of isothermal though. And or somebody in comments will let me. I'll probably put something on the screen once I figure it out. Anyways, there was also another set that I have to make. What's it called again? It's blue this time. Oh, it just says Tier 3 thermal cloth? Does it have a name? Tier 3 thermal padding helmet? I assume that's for retaining heat because it's probably in reference to the asteroid belt, which would be cold. And I don't know, why doesn't this stack? There's no reason to not make that stack other than just being annoying. Cool, there's our extra sets of special thermal stuff. I think that, yeah, that completes that quest as well, which is nice. And it looks like one of our options is 64 corned beef breakfast. Given that I always like free food that I can put in my my toolbox or whatever in case I run out, I'm gonna take the free food. Even though I have Thankful Dinners automated, I'm still gonna get the food. Oh, my arc furnace is not working. Why is it not working? What happened to it? Oh, okay. It ran out of electrodes. The graphite electrodes broke. I get it. I had a temporary stupid moment. Okay, I've got more electrodes. It should be back in business now, making its Ubercrete bricks. Back in my soon-to-be fusion pit, no longer parasite pit, it seems that I need to lower these lanterns a little bit more than I thought, because right now I'm at the level that I dug my staircase down to. Oops. I'm noticing that mobs are still spawning off to the side in caves nearby, and then they're making their way towards me. So it's not completely better, unless I go around adding a lot more of those lanterns. So I'm going to start with a 3x3 section of these bricks here, and this is where I'm going to stick the fusion core. Oh yeah, check it out. Look at that. That is a big thing. It's like a 3x3 block, basically, all in one. And it should be safe on those bricks. So now we're going to add 3 of these fusion connectors around the outside. And I looked up a tutorial, like the original tutorial that I found when I was making this design for the quest, and I realized I could make a smaller fusion reactor if I wanted to. It kind of is up to you how big you want to make it. Apparently this is for, the quest book is for a size 4, which I don't really know if that's big or not, but it seems kind of big. Anyways, I don't really want to make a smaller one because I want as much power as possible, and I already made the material, so this is the size I'll be going with. Oh, I'm building this the wrong way, aren't I? Yes, I am. I am not putting those in the right spot. That needs to go out by 1 block. That's better. Cool, that is the bottom ring of fusion electromagnets. While I wait for more uber concrete bricks, I'm gonna expand my tunnel down there, because I don't really want to build more of the fusion reactor until I can stick it on those bricks. And right now my tunnel is more of a little tiny passageway. As far as aesthetics for this tunnel, I'm just going to use my generic tunnel design that I created a long time ago for the first Nuclear Age video. So I think it's pretty cool. And it's a lot easier to make now that I can make painted steel blocks. I don't have to use real steel, which I actually did in that video. That steel there was real steel. You know, maybe I actually don't like having this texture for stairs. It might be kind of bad. I knew I heard something around here. There's a tier 2, or is that there's a tier 2 or a tier 3 beacon over there. Hey, get out of here, stupid tentacles. That needs to go away. It's near my fusion pit, and I don't want it to spread. Oh, did you see that? That was a 1 hit. That was because of Vorpal. The enchantment that I put on my sword. It's Vorpal 3. Okay, why is there a bomber form out here? It's not even supposed to spawn. Also, there's a tier 1 beacon. Where could this thing have come from? That's a little bit concerning. At least it's dead now. Oh boy, it's a little bit difficult putting these 3 segment, like concrete roof curves. Yeah, I decided to swap the stairs out. I'm not dealing with framed stairs. I'm not dealing with that texture that won't connect. I don't really want it to look that busy. I'm just gonna go with some nice generic concrete stairs. I wonder how much of this tunnel I should like surround with uber concrete. Maybe some of it. I'm not really sure. I mean, look, it would take a tier 4 beacon at minimum to spawn things nasty enough that they might start threatening me. So I'm pretty sure I won't let it get to that point, but I guess you never know what could happen. I do think it's been a while since I made this, but I'm pretty sure I made the parasites get harder the more planets you go to. I know more parasites spawn. I think the next place they spawn is on Jupiter, but I forget. We'll find out probably in the next video. It might get ugly. In which case, I'm gonna have to do a lot to my base and or revise the mod pack depending on what happens. Well, I have a lot of ubercrete, which is nice. So I pretty good to go back down to the fusion pit and start building more of that reactor, now that I can actually build more of a floor for it. At some point in the Interstellar Age, I get to build wither-proof glass, and I kind of need to test that against parasites. I don't really know how that ranks, if that's actually going to be based on the hardness scale that's built into Minecraft or not, because that's how the parasites determine what to break. So there's a chance I might be able to swap some of this out for glass, and then I could see the bottom, which would be cool, but something to try in the future. Okay, so that's the solid fusion electromagnets. All of it could be solid or transparent. It doesn't really matter. It's just whether or not you want to see the plasma that will get created in there once it turns on. And I think it would be cool to see. That's why 2 of these layers are transparent. And now, I actually have built the entire structure of the fusion reactor. The whole thing is there, and it's awaiting operation. In other words, we're now with the hardest part of the whole thing, which is turning the thing on. So as I said, I have to get power to this thing. I believe that each fusion electromagnet takes 200 RF per tick to stay active. And since there are 192 of those things, that means I need about close to 40,000 RF per tick, apparently, to keep it active, which is a lot, given that my 2 existing turbines create about 40,000 RF per tick. For some reason, I didn't do this calculation at this time, and so I didn't initially start by thinking I had to supply it with 40,000 RF per tick. I'm looking at some of these recipes now for heavy water and deuterium and tritium, and I'm thinking I might have to start with hydrogen. Partially just because I'm going to need a lot of power to run the machines to make heavy water and all this other stuff, and so I might be better off literally just with some hydrogen. The reason I was trying to do DT fuel was because it gives neutron fluid, which I need for Ender IO crafting, and hydrogen does not produce neutron fluid as an output. So I'm running the high voltage power lines down here from a couple directions, and I'm going to plan on connecting them to the actual coils themselves, or not the coils, the electromagnets, with enhanced energy conduits, which apparently have a max output of 5,000 RF per tick. So these are actually 4 independent rings. They aren't connected in a meaningful way that they can spread power between them. The blocks that inhabit each ring can spread power between their neighbors, but they don't do it diagonally, so I have to connect these, like all 4 of them, independently basically. So I've got a high voltage line up there, and we'll see what this does. I just connected it. Oh look, it's got a little bit of power. And nice, see, it turns green once it's powered on. So it's supposed to propagate. I don't know how far it's going to propagate. Hopefully pretty far. I'll probably need a few of these on each side, and we'll kind of have to see. Here, I'm going to add another high voltage line coming down from that excavator area. I've already actually shut off my excavators now everywhere, so I think I can probably use most of the power that I'm creating for this fusion reactor, minus what I need for the pump jacks and the distillation tower. I think everything else can be diverted here, hopefully. So here's a second high voltage input on the opposite side of the fusion reactor. I guess we'll see what this does now. It should start propagating here. I noticed that the other side has not really propagated very far. That's not what I want to see. I'm able to read RF in most of these fusion electromagnets, probably all of them, but most of them are not green. Maybe it just takes a lot of time? I'm not actually sure. Knowing what I know now, I am aware of what the issue is, but I didn't realize it at the time. Another problem I've encountered is that since I started drawing power off of the line that was supplying the lanterns turned off, and now we're getting mobs and other garbage down here, which might potentially pose a threat to the reactor itself. We can't have that. I also decided to slightly rearrange the little staircase in a hallway here that leads into the reactor from the underground part of my base, so that this little hallway actually is centered with the reactor, because it was not before and it was making me annoyed. Say Happy New Year to Shanghai. Oh, it must be New Year's there. I guess there's a mod that is reading the different time zones. That's pretty cool. Is it actually gonna like give me updates or whatever for all the different countries and cities that are gonna be having New Year's? Well, that's pretty cool. I think it's still about like probably 10 or so hours away from New Year's where I am. It'll be fun to see which countries are having New Year's as I'm finishing this. So I'm now adding additional high voltage power connectors to these existing inputs to the reactor, which is a step in the right direction. That did help to solve some of the issue. Because the main issue with it initially was that those connectors only are able to input 4000 RF per tick by themselves. Like one connector is 4000 RF per tick. And given, like I said, it needs about 40,000, I would need 10 connectors, and it had 2 initially. So adding a few more was a step in the right direction. Unfortunately, I learned all of this afterwards, so I wasn't necessarily thinking this as I was doing it. Look at that, it's propagated the green electromagnets much farther, and that means a lot more of it's active. Actually, almost half of it is active now. It should be getting about 20,000 RF per tick right now. Unfortunately, I assumed that it would continue to propagate if I left it alone, so I decided to go create these dense infinite water generators, which I plan to use to supply active fluid coolers with water to cool the reactor. This took a long time because one dense water source takes 8 compact water sources, and one compact water source takes 8 normal water sources. So it takes an entire stack of normal water sources to make one dense source, and I needed 2. Anyways, I have 2 of them, and now I need a lot of active fluid coolers. Luckily, they're pretty easy to make compared to the other stuff I've made in this video. 32 active fluid coolers. This should be plenty to cool the reactor to get it to 100% efficiency based on what I tested in creative mode. So if I put some of them on the side like that, not quite halfway out, if I do that at this corner, and do that around here, and then if I go to the opposite corner on the other side and build the same thing, once I actually start up the reactor, it should cool it enough to reach 100% efficiency. At least that's the hope. Can you get out of here, Enderman? I'm trying to talk about active fluid coolers, and you're not helping. You're not cooling anything. Oh my goodness, the dust is insane here. This is no good. I need to delete the config file for that machine. That will stop it creating dust. It is causing problems with these wires here, and it's actually a danger to my entire electric grid, which in turn means it's a danger to me because my sanity is somewhat tied to my electric grid. It's actually heavily tied to it. So I am noticing that this is not propagated anymore. I thought that leaving it alone might help, but it did not. Of course, now I realize it was never going to, but at the time I foolishly hoped that if I just left it, it would spread, and it would soak up enough power to work. So I added an extra couple connectors to various other spots, and I added another like wall pass-through or something. You know, that might be completely redundant. I don't actually know if the wall pass-throughs are able to supply only 4,000 or the maximum 32,000 for high voltage wires. I should test that. Maybe somebody in the comments knows. Either way, there are now 8 of these wire connectors attached to the reactor, which, assuming the most generous numbers, assuming all of them are receiving maximum power, means that the reactor is receiving 32,000 RF per tick, which is about 8,000 short of what it needs to power up. At least it's 8,000 short of what the fusion electromagnets need. The core itself needs additional power, so yeah, and I don't think there's much more I can get out of my turbines without jeopardizing the entire system because of cutting off oil production. Because there's 4 pump jacks and at least 1 distillation tower that are constantly running, just to keep the stuff online. Well, I cut off the very bottom ring just to kind of see what would happen. Obviously, I can't work without the bottom ring. Obviously, nothing particularly amazing happened, other than I think I'm powering the 3 top rings fully. I've even got my nuclear reactors on as well, and those are fully drained, so I'm closer to about 45,000 RF per tick total generated, and like I said, I can't use all of that. So I unironically kind of have to build another steam turbine or some other dense energy efficient source of power. And I don't really have the oil production to support a gas turbine or a boiler with diesel, so I kind of have to make a solar tower which will use the power of the sun to boil water into steam. It's been a long time since I made one of these. Not since the very first Industrial Revolution, I think. Those videos did I make one of these. And it's gotten a lot fancier since then. The mod has updated significantly. The solar tower is now actually quite tall. And I think I'm going to build it over here in this kind of open, flat area. I shouldn't need that much room, probably. I mean, I think I only need like 4 reflectors or something. That's all it needed last time was 4 reflectors, and it was at maximum power. I don't know why I didn't just build a capsule for this. It seems kind of silly, in retrospect. Well, look at that. Look at this giant solar tower. That's quite impressive. I'll try to post a picture here of what it used to look like. It's quite the comparison. Well, now I need solar reflectors, which are literally just large mirrors. They're not that hard to make. Really, the only expensive thing in them is silver sheet metal, and I have a lot of silver. So we're pretty good. For these, I decided to be smart and make capsules. I made 4 capsules, 1 for each of the solar reflectors that I thought I would be needing to make. And here's one of them. So once it's working, it should actually change its orientation and point towards the top of the solar tower. That's what it's supposed to do. I don't know if it's going to do that. I've had some issues with these in the past, so we'll see what happens. Anyway, okay, well that's the 4th one. Is it gonna do anything? Oh yeah, look at that. It just updated. That one updated. I don't know why the other ones haven't. That's bizarre. Oh, I know why now. It wasn't at the right level. For some reason, it had to be 1 block higher up. And then it realized that there was a solar tower there and decided to point towards it. Not that we're doing literally anything right now because it is nighttime, so I guess I'll make another compact water source. This thing will supply infinite water to the solar tower, which will get boiled into steam once the temperature increases enough. And one of these is still not working. What the heck? So, I don't know. I might actually need more of these solar reflectors than just 4 because it seems to be heating up kind of slowly. And there's a little passage in the engineer's manual which says that it needs several hundred solar reflectors in order to reach maximum output. Now, I don't know what maximum output is. Is maximum output enough for 1 steam turbine? Or does it need less than maximum output if I'm only trying to power 1 steam turbine? I guess these are things we're gonna figure out, aren't we? Anyways, I added an additional 4 solar reflectors, and we're making steam kind of quickly-ish. I don't know if it's fast enough, though. I'm gonna see if it is. I'm gonna make an actual turbine now. You know, I hope it's fast enough, because otherwise if the amount I need is actually anywhere near several hundred of those solar reflectors, then I'm in for an unfun time. Well, one thing that would be a good idea to start with is making a tunnel for a pipe to bring the pipe that can carry steam underground. I can't do a lot with a steam turbine if I don't have a steam input. Oh look, it's New Year's again, somewhere. That's pretty cool. Apparently in Myanmar. Good thing I have a lot of this ubercrete so I can build more platform area. So that I can build a steam turbine. It seems a little bit counterintuitive building another steam turbine to make power, to try to power a fusion reactor, which is also supposed to make power. But I suspect that the fusion reactor, once it's actually working, will create several 100,000 RF per tick with just the hydrogen fuel, and it would be even more with some other fuels. Well, I've added a pump, and I power the pump, and it should be pumping steam down here. Oh yeah, look at that, the turbine's on. Oh, that's pretty cool. The turbine's powering up. Uh-oh, the turbine is no longer powering up. I think that was just because there was a buffer of steam. Oh no, it's like not even turning the turbine at all. This is bad. I obviously need more solar reflectors. Let me go add a few more. Maybe I'll make like 4 more or something. That'd probably be enough, right? Yeah. Surely I don't need that many. Please don't let it be 200 or something. Yo, why is there a giant beacon like right next to me on the other side of the hill? And why is it above ground? I don't know how I missed this. Oh, good grief. Well, there's more solar reflectors now. Of course, it's nighttime, so I don't actually know if it's gonna work or not. I have to find something else to do. I guess I'll just go set up some wiring with this steam turbine and pretend that there's actually continuous power being created. That's depressing. I'm depressed now. I'm also starting to create a rat's nest of wires down here. High voltage wires. Yeah, and the steam turbine is not being powered even though it's daytime. Clearly I need more solar reflectors. How many more? I guess I'm gonna find out. But then I had an idea. Perhaps I didn't actually require more solar reflectors. Perhaps I could use a distiller to make distilled water, which creates more steam for the same amount of water. So this, with my my brilliant new idea, I decided to make the quite simple distiller multi-block and run my water through it instead of sending the water directly to the tower. This was quite easy to accomplish because I already had brought a high voltage line over from what I had used with some excavators because I had to power the pump with it. A little bit excessive, I know, but it's all I got. Well, look, now we're creating distilled water, which is a little bit more dense. Would you look at that? It's nighttime again. I'm out of luck, aren't I? Well, let's see what's something else I could do during the night while I wait. I know. There's this thing called a heavy electrolyzer. It's a new multi-block that I actually added myself for the purpose of dealing with heavy water and creating large quantities of hydrogen and oxygen and deuterium. This thing is rather substantial. It takes a decent amount of power, a couple thousand per tick. And with it, I should be able to create lots of hydrogen. I don't know if one of them is enough to create the amount of hydrogen I'll need, but we're going to give it a try. Besides, then I'll have it if/when I need to run heavy water through an electrolyzer. And the heavy water in the electrolyzer is a way I can get a lot of deuterium and even some tritium without the fusion reactor. Otherwise, I pretty much need the fusion reactor if I want any deuterium or tritium. Oh hey, Happy New Year to Armenia, nice. And Happy New Year to Dubai. Well, we're getting a little bit closer, although it's still really far away from me. Oh geez, no wonder it's so laggy that there's about 20,000 particles right now. Well, I've got bad news. The bad news is that distiller did not end up creating enough steam. It's a little bit better. There's a tiny noticeable difference, but it's not working. You know, I'm starting to think that 230 solar reflector number might actually be accurate. I don't know if I can make 230 solar reflectors. I don't know where I would put them. I don't know if I have time to make them in like 4 days, so I will instead put my head in the sand and try to make this heavy electrolyzer, which I already collected the materials for. At least this thing didn't require anything crazy. That's good. I've had enough crazy multi-blocks for one video with that fusion reactor over there. That should be everything, I think. Oh wait, no, there's some lamps on top. Nope. Put these lamps up here. Now, yeah, we've got a heavy electrolyzer. Missing fluid input, that's for sure. Obviously, I need another water source. I don't even know what the point of connecting that high voltage line is. I'm just pretending that there's power in it. I don't know what to do. I don't know if I can get enough power to turn this thing on for this video. I honestly don't know. I mean, it's not working. All I can do is I can put a little infinite water source off of this electrolyzer, which I can't even run the electrolyzer, unfortunately. I don't know. Okay, there's only one thing to do. I'm going to one of my creative worlds. I'm going to find out just how many solar reflectors this tower needs to power one turbine. That's about how many right there. That is 60 solar reflectors. It requires about 60 to power one steam turbine. That is what I discovered in creative mode. I have like 15 or something right now, so adding another 45 or 50 or whatever, it's feasible to do. I can make the resources. I can probably build it in time. I'm gonna give it a shot. I mean, I kind of have to build it at some point. Whether or not it is quote-unquote in time for the end of the video is, I suppose, irrelevant. Well, this is going to be rather tedious. I have to repeat this pattern over and over again another 55 times. Oof. The blood moon is rising. Is that so? You're gonna give me a blood moon when I need to work through the night, and it's almost the end of the video, of course. Well, that would just be too easy, letting me work through the night without hordes of mobs trying to kill me. They're not very good at trying to kill me, but they might blow up my stuff if I'm not careful. There, I finished layer 1, onto layer 2 out of 3. Oh, there's a beacon over there. That's kind of close to me. Maybe I should kill it. I don't know. It might turn that nice little pond into something nasty. Nah, it'll be fine. Happy New Year to Novgorod. Well, there's all my scaffolding. I seem to have misplaced some of my scaffolding. Oops. Now I need my silver sheet metal and my glass. Oh boy, I don't know if I made enough silver plates. I guess I can always make more, but that takes time. And time is a little bit short right this moment. Oh, this thing is spreading. Maybe I should get rid of it. Yeah, that's a little unfortunate. Okay, goodbye. Fun time is over. Same for you guys. Out of here. Go away. Well, I'm getting there. Most of these are built. I don't think I have enough silver sheet metal, but I can make more. All of the structures are built. A couple of them are refusing to cooperate, but it is actually all constructed somehow. And finally, it is sunrise on the very last little bit of day 98. Any second now, it will be day 99. You know, it's a good thing that my other power sources are still working, because that would be really a shame if they stopped working for some reason. Well, check it out. we seem to be burning a lot of distilled water. Something tells me we're not making enough distilled water. The good thing is it's actually powering up the steam turbine now. That is a beautiful sight to see. Unfortunately, there's a distinct lack of power coming from my other turbines. I wonder why my other power shut off. The war continues. My mental health is currently losing. For some reason, I have no diesel. This is a massive bro moment. It is 1 day away from the end of the video, and I'm trying to turn my fusion reactor on, and instead, my existing turbines decide to shut off. Clearly, this game doesn't want me to turn on this fusion reactor, does it? Maybe I should just drop out of the sky at high velocity. That might help, at least for a little while. Since I didn't run out of oil, it's a fairly simple matter of cutting the cables to the fusion reactor and figuring out why my fission reactors are not powering the pump jacks. Oh, and here's my answer. I think this is what caused the problem completely. I think that it was dust breaking this line. I suspect that once that line got broken, the other stuff didn't have enough power. I was drawing too much power from my turbines, so it couldn't even power the pump jacks anymore. I think that's what happened. Anyways, I cleared out the dust and I can turn on the gas turbine again, and hopefully we'll see some progress towards, I don't know, the fusion reactor. But like I said, it's day 899. Time is short, very short. Oh, and yeah, remember I needed to build another distiller because one is not enough. I'm just glad it's not a hard machine to make. Oh, well, that doesn't work. Clearly these pipes are too slow. I can just get rid of the pipes. That's not an issue. One additional compact water source later. Oh my god, that's what you get, zombie. You get vorpaled. Here we are. Now we should have a lot of water, and 2 of these should be plenty, given that 2 of them work just fine over at the other, my other turbines. I should have really built 2 from the beginning. I should have known. And luckily for me, or perhaps unluckily, it's almost daytime, meaning it's almost day 900. So I guess we'll see the turbine turn on briefly, but I'm not so sure we'll be activating that reactor, unfortunately. Here we are, sunrise. Let's reconnect these lines now that my stuff is working. I think. It better be. Oh boy. Can all these mobs just chill out? You guys are not going to be able to do anything, and I'm not in the mood to deal with zombies. Temperature is increasing rapidly, as it should, because I think there's over 60 of these things here. Distilled water is remaining filled up, which is what we like to see. That means my steam turbine is actually turning on. Oh my goodness, is it glorious. The steam turbine is on. That means I should actually be able to power this electrolyzer, if nothing else. Well, most of the fusion electromagnets are receiving power and are green. Unfortunately, not all of them. I think I know why, and I will explain it in a moment. But in the meantime, here is my heavy electrolyzer. It is currently turning a lot of water into a lot of hydrogen and some oxygen and a little bit of deuterium. Here's my deuterium, some oxygen, and it will have also created 8,000 or 8 buckets of hydrogen from that. There wasn't really a lot left for me to do other than increase the rat's nest even further by spamming more high voltage connectors randomly around the fusion electromagnets. And I did get quite close to powering all of it. It was quite close, but at the expense of creating a huge tangled rat's nest of high voltage power lines. It's extremely impractical and not sustainable. I also added some fluid pumps to the outside of the heavy electrolyzer, which you need to get the fluid out of those outputs for some reason. It's a little bit annoying. And I decided to delete the oxygen. I don't really need the oxygen. I'm going to store the deuterium, and the hydrogen obviously needs to get to the reactor somehow. Not that the reactor is on, but I digress. It still needs to get there at some point. Well, there's not much time left. There's almost no time left. The least I can do is make this pipe work. This pipe should be sticking hydrogen here. Oh, look at that. It's beautiful. It put the hydrogen gas in the fusion reactor. Good grief. I realize now that the fusion ring needs about 40,000 RF per tick to be active. Without the new turbine, the ring was being given at best about 30,000 RF a tick. And even with the new turbine, I believe the throughput rate of the high voltage wire connectors and enhanced energy conduits was insufficient. In the next video, I plan to upgrade to the best energy conduits connected to at least 10 high voltage wires at max input. Perhaps then I may power up the reactor and begin making neutron fluid. As always, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to drop a like and subscribe below. Additionally, my Patreon SMP server using this mod pack restarted about a month ago or whatever. It's still probably a pretty good time to join, but I'm not going to reset anytime soon. So if you're looking for an SMP to jump into with this mod pack, I'd recommend checking out the link to my Patreon in the description. Thanks for watching, hope you guys have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video or live stream. Bye!